Alrighty. Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Ange Kirchhoff, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to our Saturday live stream for week 17 of the 2022 fantasy football season. For the next 2 hours straight, we're going to be answering your guys' starter sit questions going into the weekend. Of course, a lot of information has been made public. I've kind of, I would say, condensed it all to, I guess, consumable information in this video to the bottom right. If you guys haven't checked that out already, I've posted it earlier today in terms of last minute updates in regards to some of the prospects going into the given week. Another piece of information that has come out most recently that we talked about last night, for those of you guys who were present in last night's live stream, was DeAndre Hopkins. He is already going to be officially out. He's not going to be playing. That's another player outside of Derrick Henry and Tony Pollard, who is a potential stud that unfortunately will not be gracing our rosters in order to help us capture a 2022 fantasy football championship. Outside of that, again, we're going to be answering questions in just a moment. If you guys have a question, be sure to mention what your scoring format is. It is extremely essential that I know exactly your scoring format. Otherwise, I'm just going to assume it's half PPR and give you the answer in terms of that. Also, tomorrow morning, I'll continue to live stream from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Of course, we'll have up-to-date rankings on screen for all of the primary positions, whether it's running back, wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, kicker, and defense, available to you guys. So if you want to go ahead and stop on by to make sure that your lineups are set in the new year, be sure to join us from 8 to 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Outside of that, if you guys haven't checked out PrizePicks, we're going to be going ahead and, I would say halfway through the stream, be putting together some entries. I've gone ahead and dug up some pretty good plays going into this weekend. A lot of players that, even though their numbers are really low, I can't fathom as to why they are at their positions. I'm sure that, PrizePicks has them, sharp numbers here and there, but either way, I think we're going to find some success this week in regards to NFL entries. Again, if you guys haven't checked them out, you can go ahead and check out the link down in the description of the video. When you use promo code Andrew to sign up and make that first-time deposit, your first-time deposit is immediately doubled up to $100, so you can check that out today. And of course, join us, perhaps tail, fade, any of my potential entries going into the given week. Thank you very much. All right, let's get into some questions, shall we? I'm going to go ahead and pop up the YouTube chat and see what you guys have to say, shall we? I'm going to scroll up a little bit, see who is here. That's as far as it lets me scroll, but the other Joey says, start 2 running backs, Aaron Jones, Leonard Fournette, Brian Robinson. This is a really good question in my mind. I'm thinking to myself, okay, so we know that for sure Antonio Gibson is going to be missing. So with Antonio Gibson in the last, I'd say 4 weeks, his rushing attempt totals have been 9, 9, 5, and 5. So if you go ahead and attribute those in the direction, or at least half of those in the direction of Brian Robinson, we're probably going to see Brian Robinson carry the ball 20 plus times, get himself some receiving work, going up against Cleveland. I think he, in my mind, of the group is the best play. The follow-up is whether or not we're talking about a half or a full PPR scoring format. I think if it's a full PPR, I'll probably play Leonard. If it's a half PPR, I'll probably play Aaron Jones there. So again, be sure to include what your scoring format is. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Mike Evans or Zay Jones from Cody. All right, Cody. Okay. Here we go. So conventional wisdom would say, let's just play Zay Jones because he has found more recent success, and momentum is really a thing in regards to the opportunities that players get. But in the specific case of one Mike Evans, he has a really good matchup. The primary number 1 cornerback of Carolina is out. I think I'm playing Mike Evans in that position in a half PPR, again, under the assumption because there's nothing there. Even in a full PPR, I'd be hard-pressed not to play him. It may be risky to do so, but I think the matchup in itself, I think it... The issue that I have with Zay Jones, and the reason why I don't want to play him specifically more than Mike Evans, is because I know that the Houston Texans secondary, specifically their cornerbacks, are a lot better than people give them credit for, so we got to respect those guys. They're definitely talented. Mario says Herbert ranked 1 spot over Minshew, but who has more upside? Thoughts? Who has more upside? I mean, the upside... Wait, Herbert's higher than Minshew? Herbert ranked 1 spot... In whose rankings? Whose rankings are we talking about? Because I'm pretty sure I had Minshew ranked higher than Herbert. Am I crazy? Let me check here real quick, just so we're on the same page. Let me go to my video from Thursday, because I want to say that that's probably not the case. Whoop, that's not what I wanted to do. I needed to mute that. If I go over to quarterback, I had Minshew at 9 this week, and I had Herbert at 11. So I'm playing Minshew. Yeah, I'm about to say, I was like, what's going on here? Thank you very much. Let's see here. Goddard, Muth, or Higbee. Of the 3, Higbee's number 1. Muth number 2, Goddard number 3. Thank you. Thanks for the advice all year, says Kevin. Who should I start in the chip game at the flex position over Mike Evans in a full PPR, Akers or Algier? I think they're both fantastic plays. I do prefer Algier just slightly more. The volume of opportunities he's getting, whether it's on the ground, through the air, the efficiency of this offense to be able to construct a scheme that allows them to run as effectively as they have. Yeah, I think that the imposing threat of Cordero Patterson certainly does loom, and it does make me a little bit nervous. But I know that the volume of opportunities that Algier gets and the amount of times this team is going to certainly run the ball gives me the confidence to play him over the like of Akers at the moment. Thank you. Foreman, Dobbins, or London in a half PPR? That one's actually a really good question. I want to say London is in a half PPR scoring format, most likely going to be in that range of like 6-7 catches, 100 yards. But the issue is in a half PPR, what does that get? It's like 13 points. I mean, technically, if Dobbins and Foreman each get like 60 rushing yards and a touchdown, they meet that. London, that is without even touchdown upside technically. Yeah, London probably has the most potential based on the circumstance, with Arizona's entire secondary pretty much being backups, with no Budda Baker, no Byron Murphy, no Antonio Hamilton, and no Marco Wilson. It just makes it that much more of an enticing play from my perspective. And there's a reason why I've put Mr. Drake London as the thumbnail of today's video in the bottom right, if you guys haven't checked that out. Thank you. All right, so let me go ahead and let's see something here. There have been some recent super chats that were sent in. I do appreciate you guys sending those in. Let me go ahead and answer a couple more of these questions in the chat, then we'll hop over there and address those questions. Bival25 was saying, starting Chase and Keenan Allen as my wide receivers, Dalvin and Connor as my running backs. Okay, so you're pretty much set there, Bival. And then you have, I need a flex. I have Devontae Adams, Kamara, Montgomery, Najee, and Garrett Wilson. Of those available options, considering there's no scoring format, there is. It's half PPR. Awesome. Thank you. I was just going to answer in half PPR anyway, but I'm glad that you were able to, identify that for me. I'll take Garrett Wilson out of the group. Out of all these available options, I'll take Garrett Wilson. Let's see here. Noah was saying Swift, Jeff Wilson, Rashad White. Swift, Jeff Wilson, Rashad White. Half PPR, huh? Or actually, it's a full PPR. My apologies. What do I really want to do with these players? I probably play Rashad White out of the group, quite frankly. I don't really trust Jeff Wilson. I don't trust the rushing game there. I really don't trust DeAndre Swift, even with a fantastic matchup. I probably just play Rashad White out of the group in a full PPR scoring format. Or Damian Harris if Ramondre sits. Ramondre won't be sitting, so we don't really have to worry about that. You're good to go, my man. Okay, let's see what we have to say in the chat here, or specifically via Super Chat. Cyanide sends in a question. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Pick 2.5 PPR scoring format. He says Christian Kirk, Christian Watson, Jahan Dotson, London, Juju, Dortch. Okay, so of the available options we have there, I would love to 1 and 2 play Drake London alongside Christian Watson. Now, the unfortunate nature of the Christian Watson scenario is that we don't have 100% confirmation as to whether he's going to play. I want to hold out hope that he will. And let me check something out. I want to know, in terms of your other prospects, do you have a pivoting option technically? Because Juju plays in the morning window, along with Christian Kirk plays in the morning window, Dotson plays in the morning window, and so does. Okay, so you pretty much don't have any choice. You can technically maybe, I don't know if your league has Josh. Is it Josh Dobbs? Romeo Dobbs. Josh Dobbs is the quarterback for the Titans as of right now. If Romeo Dobbs is available, that can be picked up as a pivoting option. But considering we won't know if Christian Watson will be available for us tomorrow afternoon, I think your best interest is probably just playing London alongside Dotson. Thank you. As for your follow-up question, Cyanide, asking what defense should I start, Giants, Jaguars, or Patriots? I'm leading Jaguars 1, Giants 2, Patriots 3 in that order. Thank you. Bald God, what's up? Hope you're doing well. Says Christian Watson or Drake London this week, full PPR. Go Jets. The Jets should be able to win. I think they're a favorite in Seattle, which is very interesting. I mean, I think Mike White obviously, expands that offense significantly more than what Zach Wilson has been able to accomplish over the course of the last couple weeks here. But either way, in regards to your question, it's very similar to the question that I just answered. Considering we don't know the status of Christian Watson, you're just in a far better position just to start someone like Drake London, who I think really, from based on my projections, it's going to be like a 6-7 catch game, probably over 85 receiving yards, which in a full PPR scoring format, we'll take that any day of the week. It has even more upside if he scores a touchdown or anything else in terms of a big play. And hopefully he doesn't fumble for a third straight week in a row. The tongue twister there. So yeah, London's probably the play there, Bald God. Thank you. Jawan sends in a question, says pivot from Christian. Wow, a lot of Christian Watson questions, huh? Pivot from Christian Watson to Romeo Doubs, Ayuk, London, full PPR. Considering you have Drake London, I don't even think I make the pivot play. I think he is such a valuable prospect in the matchup that you're just solidified playing him. You don't really even have to worry about having to pivot to Dobbs or Ayuk. So I would just suggest playing Lennon in that regard, Jawan. Thank you. Josh Helmuth says, Eagles or Chargers defense? I prefer the Eagles defense this week. Again, the interior of the offensive line of the New Orleans Saints, like I mentioned in the video that I posted earlier today, is pretty much battered. Andres Pete, one of the starting guards, out. Cesar Ruiz has been on the injured reserve for 2 weeks now. That interior of the offensive line, we know their offensive tackles have been in shambles this season, except for Ryan Ramczyk. He's been really good all season, and he's been an all-pro for the last couple years for a reason. But outside of that right tackle position, that offensive line is not in a great position going up against the defense, which, again, their defensive line really does dictate games. So at this point, yeah, I think the Eagles is a pretty good option going up against that. I don't even know what to consider that New Orleans Saints offense. Is it a good offense? I don't really know. I can't even put my finger on it. I don't even know how they've won as many games as they have. I guess some of those were earlier on in the season when they actually were using Alvin Kamara properly. Actually, Alvin Kamara was hurt earlier in the season. I don't even know how they've won games. Anyway, moving on. Chris sends in a question, says half PPR. Bench one, DK Metcalf, Devonta Smith, Ramondre Stevenson. Worried about Ramondre with Harris back. Okay, here's the thing about Damian Harris. As much as we'd like to see him get utilization, or as much as some of us would not like to see him get utilization, either way, whatever side of the fence you sit on, I truly do not believe that this offense is going to accommodate much for Damian Harris's return. They may give him 6-7 rushing attempts. If he gets to a 10 rushing attempt total, that's perfectly fine. But as long as Ramondre is the active starting running back, he's getting the bulk majority of rushing attempts, probably 2/3 of them. So if Damian Harris is going to find himself with 8 rushing attempts, we'll probably see 16 in the direction of Ramondre. Not only that, he's probably going to garner upwards of 5 targets in the game. He'll be the primary goal line back in a matchup against the Miami Dolphins, which their defense hasn't played well, and it should be able to allow Mac Jones to move the ball steadily down the field and get them into those red zone situations. So at this point, between those 3 options, half PPR, I'm sitting DK Metcalf. I'd like to play Devonta Smith and Ramondre. Thank you. We had a follow-up question from Trojan3659. What's up? Says, one wide receiver 2, Lazard, DJ Moore, Judy, Gabe Davis. Okay, really good question. Here's the issue. Okay, with the entire Lazard, Christian Watson situation, as you guys can kind of come to a conclusion based on some of my responses already, unless you have a really good option in that afternoon window to pivot, it becomes really sketchy. And the reason, and it's also sketchy because even if you play Christian Watson, there's always the potential that he could re-aggravate his hip flexor injury, similar to last week, and leave the game and not return at halftime, which would really hurt. Now, it's not to say that he's not capable of being a relevant fantasy option in one half of play. He certainly is capable of doing so, especially against the Minnesota Vikings. But unless you have someone like Tyler Lockett, Keenan Allen, Michael Williams, I would even venture to, there's no way you have anybody. Like if you have I guess Gabe Davis could be decent, but I don't love it as a pivoting option. Deontay Johnson could be a pivoting option along with George Pickens. Those are decent options, at least, that you can pivot to if you're in a tight bind. But in comparison to the alternatives that you have, DJ Moore, Judy, I prefer Judy out of the bunch. DJ Moore second, and then we can kind of get into the conversation of playing Lazard third and then Gabe Davis fourth there, Trojan. As for your follow-up question, Stevenson, Pacheco, or David Montgomery. Yeah, if Stevenson is playing, which of course he's expected to play, he's a pretty tough running back. Even when we expected him to be out without high ankle sprain a couple weeks back, the dude came out and balled out. So the expectation is that he does play, and he probably plays well. I know last week's performance was underwhelming, but we talked about the potential, possibility of an unfortunate circumstance game there. Because the Cincinnati Bengals are really good at stopping opposing running attacks that are pretty much accompanied by a quarterback that does not know how to move the ball down the field effectively. It pretty much has led to Stevenson, Nick Chubb, and Derrick Henry being shut down over the course of the last 2 months now. by the Cincinnati Bengals, three of the better running backs in this league. So it's not really a surprise that occurred. But either way, I'll play Stevenson there. As to your follow-up, any of these potential options as a flex going into the week. If I'm starting any of these other options, it'll probably be, so Judy would be your wide receiver. It would be most likely Stevenson and RB2, and then DJ Moore as your flex there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Carlino sends in a question. Says, Algier or Jacobs PPR championship week? I will play Tyler Algier confidently. I think Josh Jacobs, in association with a Jarrett Stidham-led offense, is not going to be a pretty sight to be seen, especially, and this is the leading factor, especially considering they play against the San Francisco 49ers. It's not to say that Josh Jacobs isn't capable of breaking off a couple big runs, but over the course of the entirety of this season, the San Francisco 49ers have been one of the best, if not the best, defenses in the National Football League, especially in terms of stopping the run. They're giving up over the course of the last 6-7 games nearly just only 50 rushing yards per game to opposing running backs. If Josh Jacobs can accomplish that, that's fantastic, but then he'll need a touchdown and a lot of significant utilization in terms of the receiving game to be able to outscore someone like Tyler Algier going up against a significantly better matchup with probably more opportunity in the given week, especially once we see the 49ers mount a really steady lead of, 14 or more points. The play calling becomes completely different on the side of the Las Vegas Raiders. Maybe you'll see more Amir Abdullah in the lineup, and if that's going to be the case, it just leans me away from playing Josh Jacobs. Thank you. Max Muncy says, standard format, we have Pacheco or Swift. Okay, cool. Between those two, it's Pacheco. Again, when you're playing a standard format, we want the volume of touches to be able to lead our running backs to success. That is really the main correlation that we're trying to go after. In the case of someone like Isaiah Pacheco, who I would say since week 10 has been averaging nearly 16 rushing attempts per game and has been able to very steadily, this last week that he had against the Seattle Seahawks, I would say is probably his worst week rushing in terms of total rushing yards. I think that's a fact. In fact, someone could look that up, but I'm pretty sure it's a fact. He's typically going to get himself 70 to 80 rushing yards. So 7-8 points. If he can accompany this performance with a touchdown, assuming that the Denver Broncos defense does not show up again this upcoming week, he could very easily be an RB2 with even RB1 aspirations in the given week. So Pacheco's the suggestion there. As for the follow-up, Minshew or Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, in terms of effectiveness this season, has been significantly lower than expected. I think there was a post that I saw on Twitter. It was either yesterday or earlier this morning. I don't know which one it was. My days are beginning to blend, if you can't tell, considering I'm in a loop here of fantasy content. I think it was from Warren Sharp on Twitter. No, I know it was from Warren Sharp on Twitter, but I don't know when it was. He was mentioning a couple of statistics in regards to Deshaun Watson over the course of the last, 4 or 5 weeks. He's like the bottom in terms of efficiency on every metric at quarterback. So either way, I'm still going to keep my rankings from Thursday. I have Gardner Minshew significantly higher. I have Gardner Minshew as my number 9 quarterback. But now that Dak has played, Gardner Minshew going into tomorrow's rankings currently sits at number 8 at the quarterback position, just behind Lawrence, Cousins, Goff, Fields, Mahomes, Burrow, and Allen. So Gardner Minshew is in that top tier conversation. Certainly has a lot of upside in that regard as well. Thank you. Okay, we had another question that came in after Max's question. It was IB Russ 23. Thank you very much. It says PPR up 34 going into week 2. Oh, okay. So you guys go ahead. Okay, look, that is an interesting setting that a lot of people play, and I think that's predominantly played on ESPN in regards to the format of playing in a championship game in multiple back-to-back weeks against a singular opponent, just to make sure that one singular week doesn't end up, killing your season. It's like a back-to-back double header, which makes sense. It kind of really establishes who's the better team in terms of, I guess, stability, consistency across the board, and or potential upside. But in the case of your current situation, you're up 34. Fantastic. You lost Henry, you lost Pollard, and D-Hop. You won the lottery. And it's not the good lottery. You won a lottery, but it's the bad luck one. Honestly, maybe you should go buy a scratcher or something. I don't know, man. This is that's crazy. Okay, your question. Pick one wide receiver and 2 flex options. Rashad White, Chris Olave, Christian Kirk, Deontay Johnson, James Cook, Greg Dortch, Romeo Doubs. Okay. So of the available players here, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. The wide receiver that I prefer out of this group in a full PPR scoring format, most likely, I mean, I'm thinking that it's probably Olave, but I don't even know if he plays. So at the moment, I probably say Deontay Johnson is the wide receiver that I like to play out of this group. And then the follow-up flex play, most likely, okay, well, actually not most likely. Let me think about this, because we can strategize this to get a little bit more upside than I'm assuming. Okay, so this is my thought process at the moment. I'm beginning to think that the most strategic group of plays that you can put together here, IB Russ, is to play Christian Kirk as your wide receiver, and then flex either flex either Deontay Johnson or Romeo Doubs. And the reason why I specifically say that is because if in fact you get to the afternoon window and we know that Christian Watson is not playing, you would play Romeo Doubs in the flex spot. If Christian Watson is in fact playing, you would then pivot to playing Deontay Johnson in the Sunday Night Football game. Okay, thank you, appreciate it. Chris sends in a question. Says, DeAndre Swift or Terry McLaurin full PPR? Yeah, I'm for sure going to confidently play Terry McLaurin in that capacity, with Carson Wentz going up against the Cleveland Browns secondary. Yeah, I'll take Terry McLaurin there. Again, the lack of touches from DeAndre Swift, this backfield is just a complete mess. I'm not interested in investing in it in championship weekend. Sergio Soto says, on flex, pick one. Aaron Jones, Jerick McKinnon, Brian Robinson, Marquise Hollywood Brown, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy full PPR. Okay, how do we want to go about this? So, of the running backs that you have available, I think Brian Robinson's my highest ranked. And then of the wide receivers that are available, Jerry Jeudy's my highest ranked. The only question is, can Brian Robinson score a touchdown and outscore the potential of Jerry Jeudy, most likely putting up somewhere close to 15, 16 fantasy points? I don't think so. I think Jerry Jeudy probably has a little bit more upside in that factor. So we'll play Jeudy there in a full PPR flex position. Thank you. Chris sends in a question, says full PPR. Najee Harris, David Montgomery, or Lazard. Much love. Thank you. I appreciate that, Chris. So between those three options, again, if we knew for a fact, without a doubt, that Christian Watson was not going to be active, Lazard would be the automatic play. Now, Lazard could still be the automatic play in this regard if we're to assume that the Green Bay Packers really do air it out against the Minnesota Vikings, which all teams have done. So why not, Allen Lazard against the secondary? Because truly, if Allen Lazard just has himself, 6 catches for 60 yards, he probably outscores very easily Najee Harris, assuming Najee Harris doesn't find the end zone. Otherwise, they'll tie there. And then David Montgomery against Detroit, it's probably the safest play of the bunch technically, but especially with two offensive linemen returning, interior offensive linemen, Whitehair and Tevin Jenkins. But honestly, in a full PPR, I might just, let me think about this actually. If Montgomery's going to catch the ball as many times as he does, he's probably safe there, but I'll probably just play Lazard. I think in terms of the necessity for touchdown from those two running backs in specific, in the necessity for high volume of receiving work, with Khalil Herbert back, with the fact that they're playing against Detroit in far cleaner weather conditions, it'll be a far more, I think it'll be a far more interesting game than we expect. It'll be a lot of running from Justin Fields instead of a lot more checkdowns than usual. So at this point, I'll probably lean towards Lazard. Thank you. St. Atlas says, PPR, one running back, one wide receiver, one flex. We have ETN, we have Ramondre, we have Adams, we have Devonta Smith. Yeah, of the options that you have available, Saint, I will be playing ETN as your RB1, Ramondre as your flex, and Devonta Smith as your wide receiver one. I'm benching Devontae Adams. Don't trust it. Thank you. Chris Bradley, thank you very much. Very generous of you. Says, Andrew, you've gotten me to the Fantasy Super Bowl 3 years in a row. Appreciate all your hard work that you do for all of us. Hope you have a great year, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's it. No question. All right, my man, Chris. I appreciate that, my man. Appreciate it. I think I said appreciate like 17 times, but y'all don't understand. For those of you guys who just like show up to the channel and I don't know, just our viewers, it is ridiculous that you guys spend your time with anything else that you can do, just watching me or absorbing any sort of information that I spew out. For those of you who show up, click the like button. You don't understand how far that goes. For those of you who go the extra mile of sending in a super chat, it honestly, I can't quantify how much appreciation I have because it lets me, live my life at this capacity and lets me do what I love. So again, thank you for all of you guys who do that. So yeah, hopefully you understand exactly what I'm trying to convey. We had a follow-up question we have from Mr. Blackbeard. Says, Lockett or Rashad White full PPR? I'll take Lockett there, especially considering there is a very high likelihood that he's going to play. Yeah, I'll take him for sure in that matchup. Thank you. Paris Lark says, yo, Andrew, I need 3 wide receivers. We have Devonta Smith, we have London, we have Gabe Davis, we have Dotson, we have Olave. Thanks. Okay, so of the available options, Devonta Smith, number 1, Drake London, number 2, Jahan Dotson, number 3. Boom, boom, boom. Those are your 3 wide receivers. Thank you. Nathan Salazar with a question says, Devontae Adams or David Montgomery full PPR? I'll play David Montgomery there. I like Devontae Adams, but I feel like the spirit has been crushed of that Vegas team. I could be totally wrong, but based on the fact that Jarrett Stidham is really not a great quarterback. I know Derek Carr has not played well. I understand that. But going up against the 49ers, if you're going to put any quarterback against them, I don't know if this was the week to make that quarterback switch. It's not going to benefit Stidham's progression as a quarterback. But hey, maybe he comes out and plays well. We'll see. But I'll take David Montgomery there. Kyle Burks says Deontay Johnson, DJ Chark, Jahan Dotson, full PPR. All right, between those 3 options, I'm beginning to open up far more to playing Chark there, so I'll take Chark. As for the follow-up, we have Daniel Jones or Gardner Minshew. I'll play Gardner Minshew there. Thank you. Brutality568 says, do I start Aaron Jones or A.J. Dillon or both? I probably like to play both just so I can encapsulate all the potential fantasy points that are going to be garnered from this backfield in specific. The only question, Brutality, and if you can let me know in the chat, is what exactly is the alternative? Who were you originally starting, and what would you have to take out of your lineup in order to start both? Because it may not be smart. Now, if I had to pick one of the 2, I'm probably playing Aaron Jones over AJ Dillon in the given week, especially if it's a full PPR scoring format. If it's a half PPR, I mean, quite frankly, by the time we get to tomorrow's rankings, they're going to be back-to-back in them, like quite literally right next to each other. I think they're going to be 12 and 13, based on kind of how I've set it up unofficially, but the way that I'm trending, they're going to be back-to-back in the rankings because I really do think that they're both going to have really good upside, especially if they're both healthy and getting ample opportunity. Chris says, which defense? Patriots, Giants, Jaguars, Happy New Year. Thank you very much. Advanced. All right, so here's the thing, Chris. Between those 3 options, I have the Jaguars number 1, the Giants number 2, the Patriots 3. The Patriots have 3 of their starting DBs missing, if not could have 4 or 5 of them, considering there's a lot of questionable tags, but I'm assuming those 2 other guys that are questionable will play. They are missing a lot of secondary members in comparison to the Giants, who have a really good matchup against Nick Foles, against the team that gives up the most points to opposing defenses in fantasy, which is the Indianapolis Colts. And then the number 1 option, it is the Jaguars. In my mind, it's just the Houston Texans, despite the fact that they've played as well as they have, they are prone to making mistakes. And when they do, the Jaguars defense over the last couple weeks, whether it's interceptions, fumble recoveries, touchdowns, has been all over it, scoring 10 plus points 3 straight weeks. I think they'll have another one this week. Thank you, Chris. JD says 12-team standard format. We have Cousins, Chase, Keenan Allen, Dalvin, Saquon, ETN. I need a tight end, Taysom or Waller. Thanks, brother. Okay. Between those 2 options, I probably just in a standard scoring format, huh? In a standard scoring format, I probably just play Taysom Hill. I don't trust Waller in that capacity. Thank you. Soy Sauce says, is Washington defense a good move to start versus the Browns? I think they are, yeah. I wouldn't say that they're better than... I mean, you know what, to be totally honest, considering how random defenses are in terms of fantasy, and there's a reason why I even play in a lot of leagues where we've abolished kickers and defenses for a reason, because of the random nature of their scoring, in terms of like, how do you know that you can't really predict a pick 6? You can predict someone turning over the ball, but even that is kind of unpredictable to an extent. That being said, I still think that, yes, the Washington defense is a solid defense to play this given week. Isaac Souza says, non-PPR, which flex? Rank them. We have Dotson, Sutton, London. London number 1, Dotson number 2, Sutton number 3. Thank you. Let's see here. MIG says, start 2, Pittman, Chark, Jeff Wilson Jr., Moss, Sutton, half PPR. If I'm starting 2 of these options, it's Michael Pittman Jr. and DJ Chark. Thank you. Trey Curb, 47, says Foreman, Stevenson, or Jamal Williams in a non-PPR. I'll take Stevenson there. I could be convinced to play Deontay Foreman. I just certainly believe that the upside that he presented last week was, it was kind of crazy. I think Ramondre Stevenson is probably the safer option though between the two. Thank you. Metal Wings says, "Hey Andrew, OU for being in the Super Bowl. Thanks. We have Algier, Keenan Allen, Devontae Smith, Godwin, DeAndre. Okay, hold up. That's supposed to be DeAndre Swift. It says Smith. I was like, wait, what's happening here? Okay, and then you have Richie James and Michael Pittman Jr. Pick 4 in a full PPR. Okay, got it. Keenan Allen number 1, Devonta Smith number 2. I'm starting all wide receivers. Chris Godwin number 3, Richie James Jr. number 4. So again, that's Keenan Allen, Devonta Smith, Chris Godwin, Richie James. Thank you. JK sends in a question, says full PPR. Starting lineup is Fields, Etienne, Brian Robinson, Justin Jefferson, Hill, Muth, Higgins, Jaguars, Eagles, Jaguars kicker, Eagles defense. My bench currently consists of Akers, Kamara, Waller, Rams defense. Any changes to be made? Thanks for all the help. No problem, JK. So considering you have Etienne and Robinson there, I would not start Kamara and or Akers over either of them. Who's playing in your flex? I'm assuming Higgins is in your flex in a full PPR. I would leave that as such. And then you have Hill, Jefferson. Yeah, you're good to go. There's nothing to change here. You got the right defense. You got a great kicker. And the rest of your lineup is set as such. I do prefer Muth over Waller. Thank you, JK. You're good to go. Official War says, choose 2. DPJ, Myers, Olave, Hodgins, Cooks. Half PPR. Okay, so if DPJ going up against Washington, Myers against Las Vegas, and then no, it's not Las Vegas, it's Miami actually, which their nickel corner isn't the greatest, but again, Myers is going to need a lot of targets to be super relevant there. And then you have Hodgins, you have Cooks. Okay, so here's the thing. Of those available options in a half PPR scoring format, I might be crazy to suggest this, but I'm leaning in the direction of probably wanting to play Myers and Hodgins. I could be convinced to play Cooks, but again, Brandon Cooks is a little bit risky in my mind. So I'll probably just play Myers and Hodgins there. I'd like to play Olave, but he's also risky considering Darius Slay will probably be covering him for majority of the afternoon tomorrow. And with that being the case, coming off of an injury, haven't played in a little while, it's just, I think it's safer to play the hot hands of Myers and Hodgins there. Thank you. Krish sends in a follow-up, says, pick 1 full PPR, McLaurin, Dotson, Pacheco, London. In a full PPR scoring format, I will play London out of that group. Thank you. William Hall says full PPR, Algier or Stevenson. Wow, that is probably significantly closer than I thought it was going to potentially be. Damn. I almost want to play Algier there, but I think it's probably just smarter to play Stevenson. Because if in fact Stevenson really starts getting it cooking with his receiving work and the upside that, revolved around that, he could significantly outscore Algier. So I probably just play Stevenson there. As for your follow-up question, second wide receiver spot, do we play Ayuk, Olave, Richie James Jr., or DPJ or Gabe Davis? In a full PPR, I'd play Richie James Jr. there in your second wide receiver spot. Thank you. Brady Pittman says, pick 1, Goff or Cousins. I'll take Goff. As to the follow-up, pick 2, Connor, Algier, Dylan. I'll play Connor and I'll play Connor and Dylan there. Thank you. Follow-up, pick 2, Keenan Allen, Waddle, Chark, Evans, Cooper, Hollywood, Dortch. I'll play Keenan Allen and Waddle there at wide receiver. As for the 2 flex from the remaining options, I will most likely look in the direction of playing Algier alongside Amari Cooper. So again, Brady, one more time from the top, Goff, Connor, Dylan, Keenan Allen, Jalen Waddle, Algier, and Amari Cooper. Thank you. Richard sends in a question, says full PPR, Lamb played already. I have 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex spot available. We have Jacobs, we have ETN, we have Najee, Walker, Hasty, Devonta Smith, Waddle, Myers, Samuel. Thank you, and have a great 2020. Thanks for the great 2022. I appreciate that. Thank you. So, Richard, we're going to play as your RB1, Travis Etienne. Your RB2 is going to be Kenneth Walker. Your wide receiver 1 is going to be Devonta Smith. Your flex is going to be Jalen Waddle. Thank you. Impressive says Pacheco, Walker, McKinnon, Etienne, or Zonovan Knight. Play 3 full PPR championship game. First year playing fantasy. Thanks for all the advice and Happy New Year's. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Impressive. It is very impressive that in your first year of fantasy, like first year ever playing, you make it to your championship. That is very uncommon. Very uncommon. But hey, people in your league are probably saying beginner's luck. Hopefully we can just turn this into a consistent spree of winning. So, of the potential options that you have in a full PPR scoring format, I would like to play ETN 1, Kenneth Walker 2, and Jerick McKinnon 3. Thank you. Joel Gonzalez says, choose 2. We have Mike Evans, Fournette, and Najee Harris. I'll take both the Tampa Bay players. I'll take Evans and Fournette there. Thank you. Regardless of scoring format, by the way. N Low says, full PPR, Algier or Waddle. I'll take Waddle there. As for the follow-up, you already have Lamb and JJ. Yeah, you're just going to start all 3 of your studs. No questions asked. Thank you. BP says, can only play 3.5 PPR. I have Kamara, Algier, Devonta Smith, Higgins. I'll play Smith, Higgins, and Algier. Thank you. Moving on, Nathan Salazar says, Giants defense or Patriots? I'll play the Giants this week against the Indianapolis Colts. Champagne Fantasy says, full PPR, Drake London, DJ Moore, Chark, or Dotson. In a full PPR, I'm playing London over the group. To give you an order as to how I would play them, I'm going full PPR, London, Moore, Chark, Dotson in that order. Thank you. Benny G says, it's 8:30 a.m. here. Happy New Year. Wait, where are you, Benny? How the heck? Oh, okay, let me see here. What does that mean? I'm gonna triangulate your position, Benny. Here we go. Okay, I will not be able to figure it out. What does that mean? It says $. Is that Australian? Probably, maybe. Benny, thank you. I appreciate it. Daniel Orton says, full PPR, Zay Jones, Cortland Sutton, Gabe Davis, pick one. I will play Zay Jones over the group. Thank you. Appreciate it. Drewski says Waddle, Swift, or Montgomery in the flex. I will play Waddle in the flex, even in a standard scoring format. As for the fall, and you say Happy New Year. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Dennis. Okay, here we go. Let me see here. I know that I haven't answered any chat questions in a while. Again, I'm just trying to catch up on some of the super chats. We're like 4 questions away from catching up. I do appreciate your guys' patience. Let me see where you are at, Dennis. Dennis the Menace. Where art thou? All right, let's see here, Dennis. Where are you? Dennis says, in a full PPR, Jones, Chubb, or McKinnon, or Algier. Okay, cool. Already have had to do with Dak. Yeah, Dak, I was mentioning it last night. I was extremely afraid after that first half of complete disaster potentially ensuing, but he was able to recover, I would say, and Dalton Schultz certainly helped him get there. I have Jefferson, Godwin, Devontae, Pat's defense, Butker, or Folk. Your thoughts for 2 running back. Okay, so here we go. Of the available running backs that you have in a full PPR scoring format, it's probably in your best interest to for sure play Jones and Chubb. As much as I like McKinnon, the issue that I have with McKinnon is, quite frankly, if he doesn't score a touchdown, maybe at very best he scores like 7-8 points. Like that's in all honesty. Now, he can have himself one of those upside games. It's just hard to predict if he's going to be able to do so again. You know, like last week's performance where he had what did he have, 8 rushing yards? Very little utilization in terms of receiving upside. Was able to score early in the first quarter, which pretty much padded his stats. But outside of that, and in the first quarter getting like, I'd say 10 of his 12 fantasy points, he didn't do anything after the fact. So, yeah, it's probably just Jones and Chubb there. And we got to hope that, Chubb obviously falls into the end zone. As for your follow-up here, Pat's defense. Okay, so Butker or Folk. Between the two, considering there really isn't any weather concerns between those 2 games, I'm actually curious, off the top of my head, who actually scores more points between the 2? Because I have Butker higher ranked than Folk, but I'm actually curious as to, if you're playing in a league where you get minus points for missing a field goal, I wouldn't even play Butker. Dude, I don't even know if Butker's even a good play at this point. His last 4 weeks, 6, 11, 4, and 7. At least Folk kicks field goals because their offense sucks, right? Folk, the last 4 weeks, 4, 11, 13, and then 0 last week. I mean, these kickers are terrible. How about we suggest Riley Patterson and or Eddie Pinheiro or Matt Prater? Thoughts? Because that's kind of where I'm trending in the direction of, right? Thank you. All right. Najee or Christian Watson in the flex. John, if in fact you get to the Sunday afternoon window and we get confirmation that Christian Watson's playing, he would be the suggestion there. Samoa time zone. Daniel, are you on the Samoa time zone? No way. What's the time zone there? How many hours You know what? I'm not even going to embarrass myself by figuring out whether you guys are ahead or behind. I have no clue. Moving on. We had a question that came in from after Dennis. It was Joel. Or Joel says, made the championship week. Thank you, Andrew. No problem. I'm glad I can help in any sort of fashion. Had to sit King Henry. That's fine. So Chuba or White to replace. If you're playing in a half PPR scoring format, I'm playing Chuba Hubbard. If you're playing in a full PPR, I'll play Rashad White. Thank you. If you're playing in a standard league, I'll play Chuba Hubbard. Dylan Kearns says half PPR, pick two running backs and 3 flex options. Okay. We have Devontae Adams. We have Brandon Cooks. We have Zay Jones. We have Romeo Dobbs. You have Brandon Cooks and then you have regular Cooks. Do you mean regular like Cook, like James Cook? I'm going to assume that's James Cook and not Dalvin Cook, by the way. Dortch, followed by Fournette, Pacheco, and then you have James Cook over there. So yeah, I don't know what is happening. You have multiple Cooks in this question, Dylan. So that's the confusing nature of this question. Dobbins, Rashad White. Okay, so I'm going to ignore the second Cooks, quote unquote, in this entire conversation and assume you just repeated Brandon Cooks twice. In this circumstance, I'm playing Fournette as your RB1 and I'm playing Pacheco as your RB2. As for who I start at your flex position, it's going to probably be Dobbins 1, Zay Jones 2, and probably Adams 3. Thank you. Appreciate it. Markel Adams says, Akers, Najee Harris, Mike Williams in the flex, full PPR. Happy New Year. Thank you. All right. Between the potential options available, Cam Akers is, in my mind, the safest of the bunch. I think the production in which Mike Williams presented last week could very easily be duplicated, especially considering the fact that he does play against Los Angeles. They're familiar with the organization. They're literally just right across the road. They play the same stadium. But the reality is the coaching staffs are very similar because, again, they're all coming down from the McVay tree. But at this point, it's probably Mike Williams could get himself 6 catches. Sorry, not 6 catches. I think that's actually far too generous. He could probably catch the ball 4 times for 60 yards and be a solid 10-point play against Ramsey. But I think it's just safer to play Akers there with touchdown upside and anything else that he's going to garner within the offensive kind of game plan, especially going up against that matchup where the Chargers really can't stop the run. So at this point, we'll take Akers. Moving on, Raul Matthews says, I need 2 wide receivers in a half PPR scoring format. Juju, London, Chark, Pittman. London's my number 1 out of the group. And it's probably, it's kind of tough. They're kind of blending in together between these 3 options because I really do think there is, I think the most upside between the 3 is in regards to Michael Pittman Jr. if he gets himself the ample amount of opportunity. I think Juju Smith-Schuster has demonstrated that with opportunity, he can definitely deliver. It's just a matter of can he have another great performance against Denver, in 2 out of the last 4 games that two of the last 4 weeks that he's played. It's tough to predict. They could go back to the well there. At this point, I'm probably leaning towards London and Chark. Thank you. Jaden Thornton says, lineup, PPR pick 2. All right, awesome. We have Juju, but I start Mahomes and Kelsey. Dotson, Algier. Okay, so out of those options, those 3 in a full PPR scoring format, yeah, it's probably in your best interest to play one of those 2 wide receivers. I'd lean towards Juju because, again, even though last week was really underwhelming, a lot of the recent performances that he's put forward, 9, 10, 9 receptions, it's really hard to compete with unless these other prospects, Algier and Dotson, are going to be in that same capacity and or scoring touchdowns to really even that out. So at this point, I'll probably just roll with Juju there. As for the follow-up in a full PPR, Dobbins, Najee Harris, Algier, I'll take Algier out of the 3. Thank you. Mario says, Happy New Year's. Thanks for the content. Pick 1 in the flex. Gabe Davis, Jamal Williams, Josh Palmer, Tyler Higbee. Of the available options, I will play Tyler Higbee. Happy New Year's. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Goat says, full PPR, flex Swift, Pickens, or Richie James Jr., or potentially Zonovan Knight. I'll play Richie James out of the group. Thank you. Okay, Jordy Peasy says, flex, half PPR, Latavius, Gus, Higbee, Carter. Latavius, Gus, Higbee, Carter. Of the available options in a half PPR scoring format, it's probably, I want to play Higbee, and I want to hope you'll find the end zone again. And I'm probably going to suggest you do so. The next best option is probably Latavius after him. And then Gus and then Carter. But for right now, I'm going to roll with Higbee there. Thank you. from the NOLA, so New Orleans. Thank you. Says Swift or Dobbs. Do we wait and play Romeo Dobbs or just play Swift against Chicago? In a half PPR scoring format, I would probably just not risk it and just play Swift there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Alrighty. Now that we've answered some of those questions, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to the bottom of this entire conversation. Akers or Walker, PPR. I'll probably roll with Walker there. Hi, Andrew. Full PPR. Please pick 2. Garrett Wilson, Amari Cooper, Tyler Algier. In a full PPR, I'll play both the wide receivers. Thank you. What do we have here? Ayuk or Lockett? I'll play Lockett there. Jaguars, Chiefs, or Giants defense. I have the Jaguars ranked the highest of the bunch. Flex Lazard, Dotson, or Kirk in a full PPR. It's probably just Dotson there. I'd like to know that, you know, Christian Watson wasn't playing before I'd suggest Lazard in this capacity, considering your alternative options are just better. Generally, I think it's just smarter to play Dotson in that regard. As for your follow-up question, Tyler Huntley, Teddy Bridgewater, or Russell Wilson? That's a really difficult question to answer. I'm probably leaning towards playing Teddy Bridgewater out of the 3. Yeah, I'll play Bridgewater there. Thank you, Tyrone. Hey, Andrew, Curtis Samuel or Richie James? I'll play Richie James, though. I think Curtis Samuel is a solid option, to say the very least. He'll be in my top 36 probably by tomorrow morning, if not in the top 40. Hey, man, what does it say? Hey, man, what defense do you like the most this week? Jags, Giants, or Chargers? At this moment, I have the Jaguars ranked the highest, second highest Giants, third highest Chargers. So in that exact order. I have them, as of Thursday, I haven't really adjusted anything because usually after I live stream on Saturdays, I go and I make my final adjustments to everything. And I typically don't focus on defense until I get all the indications as to which defenders are going to be missing and or in. But on Thursday, I had Jaguars 5, New York Giants 6, and I had the Los Angeles Chargers at number 9 in terms of my top 12 rankings on defenses in the given week. Thank you. Alrighty, let me see here. Was there another super chat sent in? I believe there was. Let me go ahead and address that really quickly. Andrew Benavides, thank you very much, Andrew. I appreciate that. You have a nice name, Andrew. Well done. You can thank your parents. Flex. We have flex a player and a defense. Here we go. So we have AJ Dillon, Cole Kmet, Jerick McKinnon, Zach Moss, Alan Lazard. Of the available options, I'll play AJ Dillon there. Second best option, Jerick McKinnon. Third would be probably Lazard. Fourth is Kmet. Fifth is Zach Moss, in that order. Thank you. As for your follow-up question, Ravens defense or Chiefs? If I'm not mistaken, I have the Ravens ranked higher. Yeah, I have Ravens as my number 4 on Thursday and Chiefs as my number 7. So I'll take the Ravens there. The last time that the Chiefs took on the Denver Broncos, obviously we saw a resurgence of that offense, and Russell Wilson and Brett Rippon were able to score a total of 28 points as a combined offense there, which was, you know, definitely significant and really did hurt our fantasy purposes of playing the Chiefs there. So I'll take the Baltimore Ravens in a probably lower scoring matchup against Pittsburgh. Again, all of their matchups are typically lower scoring, on top of the fact that you got to remember, in specific, when we're talking about Tyler Huntley being on one side of the ball, it's going to be a lot of running from the side of Baltimore. Whenever they get the ball, they're running. And as long as that clock continues to expire, there's even less of an opportunity for offensive scoring. It's just, in my mind, the safer play of the two. All right, moving on. We had a question that came in from Kinger. King says, hi, Andrew. PPR from Aaron Jones. Okay, so we're picking 2 out of Aaron Jones, Walker, and McKinnon. I'm playing Aaron Jones and Walker there. Thank you. Raul Matthew says, I need 3 running backs: Saquon, Ramondre, Connor, Robinson. Okay, so I'll play Saquon number 1, Connor number 2, Brian Robinson 3. I'm benching Ramondre. Appreciate it. Adam sends in a question. Very generous of you, Adam. Thank you. Says, good luck on your finals, everyone. I appreciate that, Adam. We're all going to need it, including myself. Because, again, as much as we'd like to just set a lineup and assume that they'll play as well as we expect them to, there's also the factors of a lot of other variables that we can't really take into account. We don't know what the play calling is. We don't know some of the schemes in which they're going to kind of involve in some of these matchups. We can assume based on what teams have done. There's also the instability of injuries, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of luck is going to go into tomorrow's game. There may be a singular player like Justin Jefferson that goes for 40 fantasy points, and every single Justin Jefferson team wins the championship, and everybody else is sitting there, you know, sitting on their hands doing nothing. So there's always the potential of that. But either way, yes, good luck to everyone. Let's just hope for the best. You also mentioned, Andrew, I'll grow out my, what does it say? Andrew, grow out a giant beard. I will grow out a giant beard in honor of you if I win. Okay. Well, hey, listen, if you can do it, get it done. I'd like to see it. If you have the genetic makeup to grow out a beard and it fully connects and everything, let's do it. Send it. And then you also followed up by saying more like a patchy one. Yeah, that's what I thought. Listen, the genetic makeup that I have allows for the beard to be as, you know, I was gonna say majestic, but I think I'm tooting my own horn. It makes it what it is. Let's just leave it at that. Thank you. Appreciate that, Adam. Chad Ziegler says full PPR. Chad, I looked at your comment yesterday, by the way. I was collecting the data in terms of rosters going into week 17 and putting that into an Excel sheet. By the way, for the amount of teams that have been posted in my comment section, it'll take me weeks to get that data out, by the way. Just so we're all on the same page, for those of you who are wondering, I've already gone ahead and I've compiled so much of that information. But the unfortunate nature is I have to go into every single post that was made and correct, because some of you guys have like abbreviations, right? Like some of you just put like AJB or put Brown or put AJ, and I'm like, yo, who are these players? I have to go in and I have to individually fix them all in my spreadsheet before I can even run any sort of, anyway, it doesn't matter. Chad, I saw your team last night. Pretty good looking team going into the week. It says full PPR. I need 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a singular flex. Waddle, Garrett Wilson, Pittman, DJ Moore, Eckler, Mixon, Dobbins, Najee Harris, Algier. Like I was mentioning, guys, he's got a pretty good looking team. Okay, so of the 2 running backs that I'd like to play out of this group, it's Eckler and Mixon. Boom, boom, 1 and 2, done. As for the 2 wide receivers I'd like to play for this team, it's Waddle and Garrett Wilson. Boom, boom, done. As for the flex, in a full PPR scoring format, it's between DJ Moore and most likely Algier. At that point, I'll take DJ Moore. Thank you. As for the follow-up there, playing defenses, Jacksonville or Los Angeles Chargers, I'll play the Jacksonville defense. I don't think that the return of Joey Bosa makes that big of a difference to where you can play the Chargers defense and really hope that they're going to be able to shut out the Rams. And I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Happy New Year. Paris Lark says, AK, flex 1. Rashad White, Mike Williams, Jahan Dotson, Muth. I'll flex Jahan Dotson out of the group. Thank you. Rockout says 2 flex. DK Metcalf, Tyler Algier, Zay Jones, Jahan Dotson, non-PPR scoring format. In a non-PPR, I'm playing Algier, undoubtedly. As for the follow-up, I'd like to play DK Metcalf, but I'm scared of Sauce Gardner. Therefore, I suggest Jahan Dotson with Algier. Thank you. Alrighty. We've caught up a little bit there. All right, so we're almost about an hour into the stream. I will be going over some PrizePick entries in just a moment. Just want to answer a couple more questions here, and we'll get into that. Tyrone, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Says, would love for Jefferson to go for 40 tomorrow. Hey, Johnny, the fact of the matter is, it is very much so, possible that he does exactly that. It really is possible. Again, like I've mentioned, the last 2 games that he's played against the Green Bay Packers, when Kirk Cousins has been the starting quarterback, the reason why I make that caveat as to when Kirk Cousins has been the starting quarterback is because if you guys remember 2021 last season, I think it was week 16, 18, something of that extent, we saw the backup quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings play in Lambeau against Green Bay. It didn't go well, mainly because, again, he was the backup quarterback, and it didn't really help anybody in that circumstance. So, again, in the last 2 games that Justin Jefferson's taken on this defense, he's been 30-plus fantasy points both occasions in a full PPR scoring format. So it's kind of like an automatic almost. I think it's 160 plus receiving yards in both games, 8 plus receptions in both games, and 2 receiving touchdowns in both games. So the Green Bay Packers secondary have their hands full this weekend. Big Rick says, hey Andrew, start the Baltimore or Jaguars defense. I currently have Baltimore ahead of the Jaguars. I'm playing safe. Sorry. I'm a safe playing Tyler Conklin. I think you meant am I? Am I safe playing Tyler Conklin at tight end, or should I start Fant or Juwan Johnson? In a full PPR scoring format, considering Fant has been cleared off protocol, there is the returning nature of Tyler Lockett, but there's no Will Dissly. Noah Fant in a full PPR is probably the safest option in my mind going up against the New York Jets, especially considering the New York Jets and how often teams have had to utilize their tight ends, considering how well the coverage of the New York Jets secondary has been. Specifically, the reason why I mentioned that, like if we look at the most recent performances from tight ends up against the New York Jets defense, let's just talk about the last couple weeks here. Of course, Travis Kelce just had himself 6 catches for 113, but Travis he's a different tight end, right? But then the week before that, Kittle, 4 catches, 93, 2 touchdowns. But he's a technically different tight end. But then you go back to Foster Moreau, 3 catches, 33 and a touchdown. Cade Otton, Cade Otton was okay in that week, but he also was splitting snaps with Cameron Brate, so that doesn't really matter. Zach Ertz, 5 catches. So really, all the good tight ends have played well against this defense. Everett, 5 catches, 63. Ertz, 7 for 70, 5 for 40 and 1. So if you're a good tight end, you're probably going to play well. Noah Fant, is he one of these upper tier quality tight ends? Probably not. But of the bunch, in a full PPR, probably the safest option. All right, let me see here. Dude, my allergies are killing me. My nose is starting to really get after it. And then, yeah, it's getting disastrous. Okay, let's see what we have here. So we had another question that was followed up, sent in my direction. After Rockout, it was Austin38. Thank you very much, Austin. I appreciate it. It says full PPR. I need 1 flex. Garrett Wilson, Jerry Jeudy, Fournette, Sanders. Okay, in a full PPR scoring format. Oh, baby. I want to... Oh, my God. That's a really good question. I want to say Fournette, under the assumption that he'll get high utilization in the receiving game, enough to where he is so relevant that no matter what Jerry Jeudy and or Garrett Wilson do, Fournette probably outscores him even without scoring a touchdown, but I don't know if we can bank on that. Again, he's coming off of 29 touches. I don't know if he gets that capacity once again. He'll probably get a significantly lower number. If he totals out at like 18 or 19 touches, I think that's normal. So in this circumstance, if he probably comes down with 5 I think I want to play Fournette there. I'm just convincing myself at this point. The second best option probably in a full PPR is Jeudy. Third is Garrett Wilson. Fourth is Sanders. Thank you. As for your follow-up question, Trevor Lawrence or Minshew, I have Trevor Lawrence 1 spot ahead of Minshew. Also rolling Evan Ingram or Mark Andrews. I'll take Evan Ingram there. So I'll stack the Evan Ingram, Trevor Lawrence kind of combo there. Houston's been terrible against tight ends. And even earlier this season, Evan Ingram had himself a pretty solid game against them, even off the hot streak that he's coming off of now. It just seems like it's an automatic transition to fantasy points. Rod Haven says, nervous about starting Waddle with Teddy Bridgewater. Which is the best lineup? Devonta Smith, Waddle, or DJ Moore? Or Devonta Smith, DJ Moore, and Algier in the flex? What's your scoring format, Rod? Because quite honestly, I think your best lineup in a full PPR scoring format is to start all 3 of those wide receiver options. In a standard league, right, I could be convinced not to play one of those wide receivers in exchange for playing Algier there. But that's just the biggest question. What is your scoring format, Rod? I will keep an eye open in the chat to see if you have any response to that. Thank you. Kansas City or Atlanta defense? I'll play Kansas City there. Chuck. Start Mixon or ETN full PPR? I'm playing ETN there. Santana says start Lenny or Walker at the RB2. I have Wilson in my flex and Mixon as my RB1. What's the scoring format, Santana? Zonovan Knight, London, or Chark Standard League? I'll probably just play London there. Najee or Algier? I'll take Algier. Knox or Higbee? I'll take Knox. So these 2. Thank you, Ray. Ryan says Christian Watson, Michael Pittman Jr., or Cole Kmet. Okay, so actually, no. These are 2 different questions. Christian Watson or Michael Pittman Jr.? We don't know if we don't know if Christian Watson is going to be active on Sunday afternoon. So unless you have an alternative pivoting option, you probably just have to play Michael Pittman Jr. in the early Sunday slate of games. As for your follow-up question, Freiermuth or Kmet, I'll take Kmet there. Thank you, Ryan. Let me see here. Where is... Santana says full PPR. All right, Santana, let me scroll back up and let me see where your question was. Yeah, in a full PPR, I'll play Lenny there. I'm looking for Rod as well. Rod, what was your scoring for my man? Okay, we'll just wait for Rod to respond then in that case. All right, so we'll go ahead and check those out in a second. Minshew or Purdy? Jesse, I'll play Minshew there. Rodgers or Fields? It's Fields for sure. Fields in an indoor stadium against Detroit. Last time he played against them, he had 147 rushing yards and 4 total touchdowns. It's kind of hard to not play Fields in that regard. Lots of matcha says full PPR. Pacheco, Dobbins, Zay Jones, Dotson, full PPR flex. Who do I play? At this point, I'm probably playing Jahan Dotson out of the group. Thank you. All right, we had a couple more questions come in here. Idris, let me see here. Idris, his question was, first year playing fantasy, and I made it to my fantasy as well. Hey, how about that? Congratulations. That is not easy. Appreciate your advice. For the chip standard league, pick 2 running backs, 1 flex. Okay, so of the available options here, we have Aaron Jones, McKinnon, Montgomery, Algier, and Akers. Of the available options in a standard scoring format, I'll play Aaron Jones, Algier, and I'll play Akers. Those 3 running backs. Aaron Jones, Algier, Akers. Thank you. Mo, congratulations. You're going to get your question answered because Idris is here. Oh, look, it's Rod as well. Sydney time. That's why I knew it. Okay, so yeah, Benny, you know what I keep forgetting? You're the one that's in like the top 10 of the Australian rankings, right? In fantasy, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure that's you, Benny. Need 2, Stevenson, B-Rob, Swift, Kirk, McKinnon, or Mike Williams, half PPR. I'll play Stevenson and B-Rob this week out of the potential options here. Thank you. All right, let me scroll to the biggity bottom. Okay, so where's Rod at? Okay, Idris had already followed up. Okay, so we're fine there. Okay, so we had Macho Sasquatcho. What a name. That is an absolute legendary name. Let me just let that be known. Macho Sasquatcho, huh? Says Aaron Rodgers or Mike White. I'll take Aaron Rodgers ahead of Mike White this week. Thank you. AJ Dominguez says Aaron Jones or Algier. I'll take Aaron Jones there. Garrett Wilson or Jerry Jeudy. I'll take Jerry Jeudy there. Thank you. Rahul Matthews says half PPR. Rahul says 1 quarterback, Lawrence, Goff, or Minshew. I'll take Goff out of the 3. Thank you. iShine 101. Appreciate it. Sup, Drew says championship game for me, bro. Full PPR. I got Dobbins starting, but I got Bam Knight as well and Latavius Murray on my bench. Pick 1. And I have DJ Moore on my bench, and I have Lockett in since he's playing. What do you suggest, bro? So at this point, yes, if Lockett... Okay, so the assumption is that... Let me think about this actually fully. By tomorrow morning, we'll know for sure as to whether or not Tyler Lockett is absolutely playing. My expectation is that he will absolutely play, and in doing so, he will be utilized a lot, especially against the Jets. So I'd like to play him over DJ Moore. Now, as for the prior question, Donovan Knight versus Latavius Murray and or J.K. Dobbins, considering it's a full PPR scoring format, I am highly considering the potential of using Bam Knight against Seattle. Actually, in fact, I would probably suggest you doing so. I really do like J.K. Dobbins against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just feel like if he doesn't find the end zone, at very best, like we've already seen this season, he's like a 10 to 12 point guy based off of a huge run. If he doesn't find the end zone, he probably gets outscored by someone like Bam Knight, especially if the receiving utilization starts to sprinkle heavily like we know that Mike White likes to do. Like I've mentioned in the past, Mike White, in the games where he's been the starting quarterback over the last 2 years, the guy is targeting his running backs 14 times per game on average, which is leading to about 9 receptions per game over, I think what is it, like 99 receiving yards. High enough volume to where both Michael Carter and Bam Knight can coexist in the receiving totals. And Bam Knight certainly could, in a full PPR, not only get those receiving totals, but get the majority of the workload on the ground, which we've seen him demonstrate over the course of the last month or so now, and being pretty effective in doing so. So I'll suggest that. Thank you. Idris follows up by saying standard league pick 2 and then 1 singular flex with Aaron Jones, McKinnon, Algier, Montgomery, Akers. Okay, so yeah, we already took care of this one, right? So it was Aaron Jones is your first one, Algier is your second, and then Akers is your third. Thank you again, Idris. Terry R says Kirk, Dortch, Evans, Miles Sanders, or Stevenson. Pick 2. Yeah, I'll take Stevenson and Miles Sanders out of the group. Thank you. Appreciate it. Miles Sanders always plays well against the New Orleans Saints. Always. Okay, enjoying the show. We have a half PPR question. I need to DK, Kenneth Walker, Sanders, and Brian Robinson. I'm probably playing Kenneth Walker and Brian Robinson out of this group. Full PPR, Zonovan Knight or Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton, despite his inefficiency in terms of the wide receiver, in terms of separation, all that kind of mumbo jumbo stats that I don't want to throw at you and bore you guys, but overall, Cortland Sutton is probably like a 10-point safe play at wide receiver. Like 4 catches, 60 yards is in the realm of possibility. Can he be better? Sure, but at this moment, I probably just play Donovan Knight ahead of him in a full PPR. Who should I play in the flex? Fournette, Lockett, or Judy? I want to play Fournette there in a full PPR and even in a half. Yeah, I just want to play Fournette. Let's just put it that way, Brendan. I think that based on what we witnessed last week, they're going to just continue to exploit the utilization of Fournette until they can run him into the ground once again. In my super flex, are you comfortable with Bridgewater as your second quarterback with Waddle in your lineup? Yes, I am. Let me explain to you something real quick. So again, like I mentioned earlier today, or even throughout the week, Teddy Bridgewater is a good quarterback. He has started in the last 2 years, whether it's been with the Carolina Panthers, and then last year was with the Denver Broncos. So he's been a starting quarterback in the league. The fact that he is all of a sudden a backup is just because, again, no other teams were really looking for his services. At this point, even up against New England, especially considering New England's injuries in their secondary, I think Teddy Bridgewater is a solid play. We're going to go ahead and put together a PrizePick entry with him in regards to going into this weekend. I actually probably just want to transition into that right now that we're on the topic of Teddy Bridgewater, considering he's the first name on my list of potential entries to make. So we'll do that right now. We're going to go ahead and transition over. Do not be afraid of the ball that flies onto the screen, because that is it's just a graphic. I know many of you guys see it and you're like, what the heck is that? All right, so we're going to go ahead. Let me actually, you know what? Let me scoop myself over just a tad bit here with my camera. How do we want to do this? Maybe we just... Actually, I know how I want to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to turn on a different Andrew, and we're going to pivot it. Boom. Okay, so here is the entire conversation in regards to PrizePicks going into week 17. I've gone ahead and curated a lot of entries in regards to singular players that we can go ahead and put together and hopefully win some money going into this weekend. If you guys haven't checked out PrizePicks, again, there's a link down in the description. I almost said live stream. There's a link down in the description where if you go ahead and travel to their website, again, you'll find this. But you could also go ahead and sign up today using promo code Andrew. When you make that first time deposit, it's immediately doubled up to $100. Greatly appreciate that. Whether, again, it's a $20 deposit, you get matched 20, 50, 50, 100, and that'll be the max capacity. But you can go ahead and check that out, put together some entries for this weekend potentially, and or they've got some college football entries. I don't know. I'm not really too in tune with the overall college football stats. I'm sure you guys probably watch a little bit more than me. I'm very much so NBA and NFL centric, in terms of what I consume in terms of sports as of late. Nonetheless, let's talk about the NFL. The reason why I mentioned Teddy Bridgewater is because he's one of the first plays that I've found that actually is not a bad option. 5.5 rushing yards actually is a great overall play. The reason why I believe so is because when I was kind of sifting through, kind of doing some research this morning, I found that Teddy Bridgewater, in 19 of his last 27 healthy games that he has played, and the reason why I say healthy games is because there have been contests over the course of the last couple of years, whether it's even been this year, the season priors, in which he's left a game with an injury early on. I don't really want to count those against him because, again, injuries are kind of hard to predict. But in 19 of his last 27 games, he's been able to surpass 6 or more rushing yards. That's a 70% success rate. So if we're going ahead and putting together a potential entry, I think Teddy Bridgewater going more on this up against the New England Patriots is a pretty safe overall play. Now, another player in regards to rushing stats, and specifically rushing yards, I really like Travis Etienne. I've mentioned this on multiple occasions. The amount of opportunity they're beginning to give him over the course of the last couple of weeks, his rushing yards have certainly skyrocketed in the correct direction after they got past some of these more difficult matchups. Again, Baltimore, Detroit, Tennessee. Those are three of the best run-stopping defenses over the course of the second half of the season. So it's not really a surprise that he did highly struggle against them, and they had to utilize the passing game more. But as of late, they've gone against teams in which they've been able to effectively run the ball. They take on Houston this week, and again, you got to remember the Houston Texans are one of the worst teams in terms of stopping the run. In fact, the most points on a per weekly basis to opposing running backs in terms of rushing statistics alone. The last couple weeks against Tennessee gave up 23 attempts, 126 and a touchdown to opposing running backs. Kansas City, 26 attempts, 144 rushing yards and a touchdown. Cleveland, 29 attempts, 139. And the fact of the matter is, if you go back to not even just the last couple weeks that we have seen Travis Etienne perform, again, 103 rushing yards, 83 rushing yards, surpassing this number. You go back to week 5 against the Houston Texans on 10 attempts, 71 rushing yards. That's a 7.1 yard per carry average, as you can potentially imagine. I'm expecting him to go more on this given number. Now, other players that I specifically like in terms of rushing yards, Isaiah Pacheco, 58.5 is the base minimum in which he could potentially produce. And the reason why I say this is because He literally has only produced less than that number, 58.5, once in the last, I think, 7 games. Let me look up the stat here. From weeks 10 through 16, in 6 of his last 7 games, he's been able to produce more on that given number. The only reason he wasn't able to do it last week because he was 1 yard literally short of surpassing it. He's averaging 15.57 attempts per game since week 10. That's another one of these numbers that I like more on. All right, so in terms of 3 potential rushing stats, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put together this entry. Not 52. No. Take it easy, Andrew. Basically, it's a $5 entry. I'm going to go ahead and make it a power play. So basically, I'll just 5x my overall entry. You could make it a flex play. So where if you get if you get all 3 correct, you get 2.25 times. If you get 2 out of 3 correct, at least you get your money back. At this point, I'm pretty confident. It's a $5 entry. I'm not too worried about it. We'll place that one. Boom. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and clear this and then also refresh the page and then travel over back to the NFL. And let's talk about receiving yards. A couple of the stats that I liked in regards to when I was looking over it this morning. I like both of these receivers, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, both going more on their given numbers. Now, I've mentioned this multiple times, and I know many of you have already said this in the chat today during the stream, and even last night in the comment section over the course of the week, that you may be a little bit concerned about the current situation that is revolving around this offense and the fact that we do not have Tua Tagovailoa within this offense leading the pack. I understand that can be, worrisome to an extent, but also Teddy Bridgewater is a good quarterback. We have seen him be a starter, like I mentioned before. And the fact of the matter is, the secondary 4, specifically the New England Patriots, they got themselves their fair share of injuries. Like I mentioned on the video that we talked about, or the video that I posted earlier today in specific, the New England Patriots, they're missing Jack Jones this weekend. Marcus Jones is also out. Jalen Mills is questionable. Jonathan Jones is questionable to potentially play. Jalen Mills dealing with a groin. If, in fact, in the pregame warm-ups as a game-time decision, he is not ready to go, I mean, that's 3 of their starting cornerbacks, or DBs specifically, that are going to be out, which is a certain, automatic in my mind to go ahead and pivot in the direction of playing these 2 guys. Let's not forget this season, in regards to overall games. Now, this doesn't even count games in which technically Jalen Waddle has been injured or anything of that extent. Jalen Waddle has been able to specifically surpass 55.5 receiving yards in 11 of his last 15 games. The last time he played with Teddy Bridgewater against Minnesota, 6 catches for 129 on 10 targets. And then when we talk about Tyreek Hill, he's been able to surpass 70.5 receiving yards in 11 of his last 15 games. The last time he played with Teddy Bridgewater against Minnesota, 15 targets, 12 catches, 177. Against Cincinnati in that second quarter into the second half, 6 receptions for 109. I think both these guys very easily surpass this number. Now, if we're looking for other players, one of the guys that I've been really bullish on this week, and I truly do believe is going to have himself a fantastic performance, if I can find his name. Maybe I skipped him already. I think I did. Where's Drake London? Where art thou, Drake London? There you are. I think 58.5 receiving yards is an absolute joke of a number. Let's be honest. He, over the course of the last 3 weeks, whether it's been with Desmond Ridder or even Marcus Mariota, he's been able to crush this number. Specifically in the last 2 weeks with Desmond Ridder, of course, 70 and 96 against pretty solid secondaries in Baltimore and New Orleans. He takes on a secondary in this given weekend's matchup, like I've mentioned earlier this week. Antonio Hamilton's out. Marco Wilson did not practice on Friday with a setback to his injury. And Byron Murphy out, Budda Baker out. 4 of the starting 5 cornerbacks of this team are DBs are not playing. I think 58.5 receiving yards is absolutely a smash. I mean, that's probably the most confident play that I have of this entire receiving group. Now, there are other players that I'd also like to mention in terms of receiving yards. Another player that I would say, relatively happy with starting in any sort of capacity. I'm actually upset that they don't have Richie James Jr. or Isaiah Hodgins here. I'll eventually hope that maybe they'll add it by tomorrow morning, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. The player that I really liked is DJ Chark. 46.5 receiving yards. I think that's also a joke. That's an automatic smash in my mind. Going more on that number, mainly because in 3 out of the last 4 games that he has played, he has gone for over 4 receiving yards. Look at this, 108, 94, and 98. The only games that he has not played well was against the New York Jets. Makes sense against Sauce Gardner getting prime coverage. And in Buffalo. I perfectly understand this. When you're taking on Chicago with 3 missing starting cornerbacks, or DBs in specific, this is an automatic play indoors. I've talked about the home and away splits for Jared Goff. He is significantly better at home. And the fact of the matter is, DJ Chark with this low of a number seems like an automatic smash. Can I add another play to this? How many players do I have? I got 4 so far. Okay, I'm going to add another one to this. Devontae Smith. Where art thou? Devontae Smith, 57.5 receiving yards. We pretty much got a pure glimpse as to what we can actualize out of a Gardner Minshew-led Philadelphia Eagles offense. So the fact of the matter is, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, all right, well, he's been able to successfully dominate over the course of the last month. Last week in specific, 12 total targets going in his direction, was able to very easily double up this number. If in fact Marshawn Lattimore is returning, the coverage will be in the direction of one A.J. Brown. And if that's going to be the case, Devontae Smith probably gets even more opportunity within this offense. So I'm going more on this number as well. Again, guys, I am very optimistic. I'm literally only curating picks on players going more. If you want to, go after the less plays, you can be my guest. I just would rather be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right. Do you know what I mean? I never wish for players to score less points. I'm always hoping for them to put up the best possible performance that they can. In some circumstances, of course, variables prevent them from doing so. Either way, this is a 5-play entry. I will probably, the smarter way to go about this, quite frankly, is to do something like this where so the smartest play technically would most likely be to go ahead and get rid of some of these players off this list and just be safe with it. I'm going to put this entry together. I'll probably also put in secondary entries with like London and Chark by themselves. But yeah, we'll take this 5-play flex play. So we'll just go ahead. We'll put that entry in. Boom. That one's done. We can clear this off my board and then refresh this. And I'll put in those entries later. As for the remaining potential entries for PrizePicks, okay? Here we go. Again, there's a link in the description for those of you who are interested. Be sure to use promo code Andrew. Thank you. I got more potential plays. Moving on, let's talk about receptions. In specific, actually, no, not even receptions. What is this? This is receiving yards. Okay, I forgot about Joe Mixon. Let's scroll back to the bottom. Joe Mixon, welcome to the conversation. Joe Mixon, his current number on receiving yards is 24.5. He has been able to surpass that number in 6 of his last 7 games. In fact, in 6 of his last 7 games, 32 or more receiving yards. In my mind, this is an automatic. In 12 of his last 13 games, Joe Mixon has had 3 or more receptions. If he continues to get that volume of utilization, especially going up against Buffalo this weekend, I think this number is an automatic. Now, I'm going to go ahead and even though he is a receiving yard guy, I'm going to go ahead and just, even though he's not of the topic, we're going to move over to the conversation of touchdowns in specific. So, touchdowns. I like the idea of anytime touchdown out of James Conner. And the reason why I say this is because James Conner has scored 6 consecutive, he has had 6 consecutive games of scoring at least 1 touchdown over the course of the last 6 weeks. Fantastic. We love to see that. But like I've mentioned, James Conner, whenever there isn't a Eno Benjamin and or Chase Edmonds in his back pocket over the course of the last 2 seasons, and he has been able to play 75 or more percent of the offensive snaps, the guy has scored 16 touchdowns in the last 12 games. He is an absolute machine. I have a very hard time believing that as the clear RB1 of this team, he doesn't find the end zone once again. Let's move on. Let's talk about another player that is potentially going to score some touchdowns. I like Justin Fields in the same category. I think Justin Fields, 1.5 touchdowns. So basically scoring 2 touchdowns of any capacity, whether it's passing, rushing, receiving, it doesn't matter. Across the board, he's been able to score 2 or more touchdowns in 5 out of his last 7 games. Obviously wasn't able to do so against the Buffalo Bills. After the first drive, they pretty much fell apart. But going up against the Detroit Lions, which is the 3rd worst secondary in terms of giving up fantasy points to opposing wide receivers, they'll be able to easily move the ball. The last time he took on that defense, let's not forget, he scored 4 touchdowns, had himself 147 rushing yards in Week 10. Wasn't too long ago. So we'll take more on that. Another player that I like in terms of touchdowns, it is the one and only Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson has scored 6 touchdowns in his last 8 games, or at least has scored 1 minimum touchdown in 6 of his last 8 games. He has scored 4 touchdowns in the last 2 contests that he has played against the Green Bay Packers, in which Kirk Cousins has been active. One of those games being early this season, Week 1, and then the other was in 2021. A lot of potential there for Justin Jefferson to find the end zone and have himself, like I was assuming, a big 30-point performance in this weekend's matchup. So we'll go ahead. We'll put this together. This is a 4-leg one. I'm going to go ahead, put together another entry here. Boom, done. Now, another play that I'd like to go ahead and make is in regards to a couple of these old geezers, one by the name of Tom Brady. Tom Brady, is still moving and, quite frankly, still throwing the ball far more than I anticipated him to do so. He is throwing the ball, a boatload of times. 41.5 is his total passing attempt number. So in specific, what the heck am I doing? What did I just do there? I don't know what I just did. Anyway, in specific, let me see here. Boom. Where are we at? Tom Brady, in 8 of his last 9 games that he has played, he has surpassed 43 passing attempts. That seems like an automatic more to me. Moving on to the final option we have here. Instead of passing attempts, we're going to go to rushing attempts. We're talking about Brian Robinson, 17.5. He has been able to surpass 17.5 rushing attempts in 4 out of his last 6 games. And with Antonio Gibson out this week, Antonio Gibson in the last 6 games, 5, 5, 9, 9, 8, and 5, 9, 9, 18, and 14. Those have been his overall rushing attempts in the last 6 games. There's a lot of potential in this given week for this to be in more. We'll take that, put together this entry, and that'll cover it for us today. All right, so again, in terms of given entries, we put together a lot of them. You can go ahead and check this out yourself, whether it is one of these following statistics, whether it's the NBA in one of these following statistics. I mean, goodness gracious, Luka Doncic has really hurt me in the last couple of days on this, but whether it's, potentially the college football. I mean, there's soccer. I don't know anything about soccer. Australian, is this basketball? Where's Benny? Benny, you know anything about this? You know any numbers? Anyway, you guys can check this out. We're going to go ahead and get back to the live stream. Just wanted to demonstrate that for those of you guys who are interested. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Let's go ahead. Let's get back to talking about some fantasy related questions, shall we? All right. So where art thou? Let's move back to these rankings. Let's move back to the live stream. I know that many of you have maybe sent in some super chats. I'm going to catch up to them right now. So in regards to some of the super chats sent in my direction, we have Terry R that says Kirk, Dortch, Evans, Miles, Stevenson. So yeah, we were going to play both Miles and Stevenson there. You're good to go. Terry follows it up by saying Teddy Bridgewater, Tom Brady, or Baker Mayfield. I'll take Tom Brady out of those 3. Follows up by saying Njoku or Higbee. I'll take Higbee there. And then follow up Kirk, Evans, or Dortch. Out of those 3, I will play Evans. Thank you. Clarence, what's up? Hope you're doing well. Says, have a great New Year's, Andrew. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for everything that you do. Clarence, I appreciate that. You've been around for quite some time. Your continued support is greatly appreciated. BC4 says, need 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs in a flex. My wide receiver options are Judy, Ayuk, London, DK, DJ Moore, Jahan Dotson, Richie James, Zay Jones, and Juju Smith-Schuster. Okay, so technically, of the group, I like London and DJ Moore. Actually, no, I like London and Judy the most as your 2 starting wide receivers. So London and Judy. As for running back options, you have Akers, Brian Robinson, Algier, Miles Sanders, Kenneth Walker. Out of those group of players, I like Brian Robinson the most as your RB1, Kenneth Walker as your RB2. And then if I'm playing a flex out of these options, technically going into the week, it's most likely in a half PPR scoring format, leaning in the direction of, I kind of want to play DJ Moore there. I think it might be safer to play Algier. I'm gonna flip-flop on this a lot. I'll probably just play DJ Moore there. So again, it would be Judy, London, DJ Moore, Robinson, and Walker there. Thank you, BC. Rico Baptiste, hope you're doing well, Rico. Says London or Richie James is my wide receiver 3. I'll take London there. Thank you. Rico also follows up by saying Taysom Hill, Waller, or McKinnon at the flex. Taysom Hill / Waller or McKinnon at the flex. Yeah, McKinnon's the flex. Now, if you have to decide as to whether you're playing Waller or Taysom Hill, in a full PPR, you have to play Waller. In a standard league, half PPR, I think you can get away with Taysom. Thank you. Crackamack says, Happy New Year. Thank you very much. Thanks for all the help this season. I have 2 questions. In a full PPR, flex 1, Lazard, London, Dobbins, Dillon. I will play London there in a full PPR. As for the follow-up question, Burrow or Fields, I'll take Burrow. I think Fields probably is a solid play. Not probably. He's in my top 4 rankings at quarterback. But I prefer Burrow just slightly more. Thank you. Richard Oliveira says, pick 2, Kamara, Garrett Wilson, Kenneth Walker. Okay, so between those guys, Kamara, Garrett Wilson, Kenneth Walker. I'm playing Kenneth Walker and I'm playing Garrett Wilson. As for the follow-up, Dillon or Jones, like as in A.J. Dillon or Aaron Jones. If it's a half PPR scoring format, I'm playing Aaron Jones. Thank you. Appreciate it. Alrighty. Where art thou? Questions. Mike Williams or Ramondre? I'll play Ramondre there. Aaron Jones or Miles Sanders, standard format. I'll play Aaron Jones there, Latin. Happy New Year's. Thank you very much. Can Akers or Godwin? Akers or Godwin. Let's say it's a half PPR scoring format. I probably play Godwin there. Standard league, I'll play Akers. Otherwise, yeah, for any sort of PPR format, it's Godwin. Najee Harris or Mike Evans. I'll take Mike Evans there in a half PPR. Giants defense or Chiefs. I have the Giants ahead of them. Mike White, Teddy Bridgewater, or Watson. I have Mike White ahead of the rest. Thank you, Logan. E111 says need to half PPR. All right, let me see your E. What do you have here? Where is... Okay, cool. So I gotta make sure. Okay, just making sure nothing's getting crazy on my second monitor. Okay, where was this question? Donovan Peoples-Jones, Higbee, Hodgins, Royce Freeman, Patterson, or Hasty. If you're picking two of these options, I honestly want to play Higbee and Hodgins of this group, both the H's, which is coincidental, not intentional. Joseph says, 1 point per reception flex. Choose one. Zay Jones, Michael Pittman, or Brian Robinson. I would hope that Michael Pittman could outscore him, but I don't trust him. I'll play Brian Robinson there, Joseph. Griffin says, please, please, please rank these running backs in order that you see fit. I have all of them, and I don't know who to start. Okay, cool. Ramondre, Aaron Jones, Cam Akers, and Jerick McKinnon. Okay, so what's your format for scoring? What's the scoring format? I'm going to assume that it's a half PPR, Griffin, okay? So in that circumstance, if I was to rank these players, I'd go Aaron Jones 1. I'd go Ramondre 2. I'd go Cam Akers 3, McKinnon 4, and Montgomery 5. Let's say it's a full PPR. I'd go Aaron Jones 1. I go Ramondre 2, McKinnon 3, Akers 4, Montgomery 5. Thank you. Richie James or DJ Chark in a half PPR. DJ Chark's probably the better play there in a half PPR. Thank you. Sutton says, full PPR. I have Eckler, Brian Robinson, and Miles Sanders, and Pacheco, and Dillon, and Singletary. My goodness, you got a squad here, huh? My wide receivers are Zay Jones, AJ Brown, Olave, and D-Hop. Okay, D-Hop's out. Evan Ingram and Mark Andrews. Who's my flex? Okay, so technically, right, if you're playing Evan Ingram at tight end here, if you're playing AJ Brown alongside of Zay Jones as your wide receivers, boom, boom, 1, 2. You're playing Eckler and Brian Robinson as your two starting running backs. Your flex in this given week is AJ Dillon. Thank you. Constantino, what's up? Says PPR sit 1, Chubb, Jones, K9, or Akers. Of these options, if I'm sitting 1, I'm sitting Akers, I think. Yeah, I'm sitting Akers. I'll play my studs. Also, PPR play Algier or Akers over DK. Yes, both. I'll take both of them over DK. If I had to pick one, I'll take Algier. Thank you. Okay, the chat updated. Chiefs or Jaguars defense? Latin, I'll take the Jags. Chargers or Dolphins defense? I'll take the Chargers, Andrew. All Rise 90 says, will you be here tomorrow? Absolutely. Tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Like we've done every Sunday except for that one Sunday where you two wanted to screw me over. That was week 2 of this season. So basically, we've had a pretty good consecutive streak nonetheless. I will be here tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time with up-to-date rankings on screen for my top 36 running backs, wide receivers, top 16 tight ends, and quarterbacks. We'll also be mentioning my most up-to-date top 12 kickers and defenses tomorrow. So be sure to join us in the new year tomorrow morning. I know many of you guys are going to be out late tonight. If you guys, end up staying up all night, I'll see you in the morning. I'll be here bright and early talking fantasy. Perhaps you guys can, have yourselves a little bit of an earlier night just to make sure that you're here in the morning. But either way, I'll be here. If you need any questions answered, I'll have rankings available, all that kind of jazz. So I will be here. Defense and kicker rankings, wait till tomorrow morning, Kyle. Again, I gotta readjust them for sure. PPR Cousins, Mike White, Daniel Jones, Purdy. I'll take Cousins there for sure. Cousins is the best option. Goddard, Muth, or Higbee? Yeah, it's Higbee. I think we mentioned this earlier. I think I answered this specific question earlier, Lou. But yeah, we're good to go. We had a question from, where are that questions? We had a Rico Baptiste. We took care of those. We took care of Richard. Jesus Rivera. Let me see here. Jesus. Where art thou? Says, Andrew, my guy, half PPR. If Christian Watson is inactive, do I start Romeo Doubs or Gabe Davis? I'd play Romeo Doubs. Yeah. Okay, just think about it this way, right? Earlier on in the season, if you guys remember real early, like probably the first 6 weeks, Romeo Doubs was a very active participant within this offense. So at this current moment in time, I'm probably leaning towards the idea that, if in fact Christian Watson's out, they know exactly how to utilize Romeo Doubs, and they've kind of demonstrated that over the last 2 weeks. Gabe Davis has upside, but I think against one of the easiest matchups in the week, Doubs would be a pretty solid play. Isaac, I understand this reference. I caught it. You saw the ball transition and you typed that. I mean, standing ovation. That's well done. Angie, did you try to take me out with that ball? You see, everybody, every time. That's hilarious, guys. Thanks, Andrew. Enjoy your new year. Greatly appreciate that. Thank you. Let's hear. Cal L says, or Superman himself says, Juju, Bam Knight, Deontay Foreman, or DPJ in the flex full PPR. I think Juju's probably the best play of the bunch. Judy or Ayuk PPR, it's Judy. Let's go Pats defense. I mean, hey, if they can still figure it out despite the fact that they have a lot of injuries, I mean, that'll just kind of demonstrate just how well they're coached, right? Does anyone know if you'll continue to answer questions? I'm assuming this is while I was doing the PrizePick entries. Yes, I'm going to still keep answering questions. Do not worry. Goddard or Waller, standard. I'll play Goddard there. Full PPR, Dobbs, David Montgomery, or Aaron Jones in the flex. I'll take Aaron Jones there. Waddle, Higgins, or Pacheco, ETN, pick 2. That's a really solid question. It's probably ETN and Higgins there. Yeah, ETN and Higgins. Lockett or Mike Williams, Lockett. We had a follow-up question in terms of super chat that was sent in the direction so Jonathan Price, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It says, should I take anyone out of my championship lineup? I have Trevor Lawrence, AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Fournette, Connor, Kelsey, and Ramondre. Thoughts? I don't think you can move anybody there. I mean, really, I would be hard-pressed to think that you have anybody that is better than these effective players. Again, Jonathan, by tomorrow morning, we'll have a pretty good indication as to what my rankings look like, but again, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, 2 top 10 wide receivers minimum. I mean, probably top 8 at this capacity within the week. Fournette and Connor, I'm not really getting rid of them. Ramondre, again, is kind of like you've seen me mention it over the course of the week. A pretty solid play, especially in a full PPR format. Kelsey, Lawrence, you're really not moving anything there. Rico said, I meant in a full PPR scoring format. Okay, so Rico, in a full PPR, I'm still playing Drake London over Richie James. But as for your Taysom Hill versus Waller question, yeah, I'd play Waller over Taysom Hill in a full PPR, and I'd flex McKinnon there. Thank you. Over both of them, specifically. Sebastian Alex, what's up, Sebastian? Hope you're doing well. It says, in a half PPR, start 2. We have 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. All right, awesome. Jacobs, Kamara, McKinnon, Akers as running backs. Okay. Goodness gracious. In a half PPR, I want to play Akers and McKinnon over Jacobs and Kamara. I probably won't end up ranking McKinnon over Kamara. I'll probably play Akers and Kamara there. Thank you. As for your wide receiver question, Mike Williams, Stephon Diggs, Lockett, Juju, I'll play Lockett and Diggs there. And then if you're looking for a flex option, technically, your flex is most likely in a half PPR going with whichever running back. I mean, it would probably be McKinnon there, right? If you're starting Kamara. And then also your follow-up final question is, I have Hawkinson and Ingram as my tight end options. You probably play one of those tight ends in the flex, actually. I'd play Hawkinson as your starting tight end, and I'd flex Evan Ingram. Thank you. Dorsey 5001 says, Andrew, thanks for everything. Back-to-back years in the chip. Let's try to make it a full. Look, here's the thing. Getting to the championship is fantastic, but job's not done, right? Job's not finished. We got to capture the W. It is essential to the entire arc. The anime arc needs to converge on this final, nexus point. We need to win championships. So hopefully, Dorsey, we can help you do so. Full PPR, super chat or super flex. Richie James or Mike Williams. Wow. Okay, so we don't have. My opponent is playing Daniel. You don't have anybody else for quarterback in the super flex, or is this your super flex spot? Because if you don't have anybody else, I'll play Richie James there in a full PPR over Mike Williams for sure. I'm just curious if you don't have any other quarterbacks. King Oshan says, salute Andrew. What's up? Hope you're doing well. One flex spot, half PPR. Who plays? Jacobs, Lockett, Foreman, Dortch. I play Lockett there. Rico Baptiste says pick one out of the 3 for the flex. Yeah, 1 out of the 3 for the flex. I would play Jerick McKinnon, Rico. Thank you. All right, let me get back to this chat. Full PPR Metcalf or Brian Robinson? I'll play Brian Robinson there. Luca, you can't do every section of the live chat. What is this? Where's Luca? Where's Luca? Luca says, bro, skip over. Okay, Luca, let me get you. Where's you at? Luca says, does anyone know if you? Okay, yeah, that was who he was. Okay, thanks. Okay, cool. Says, pick 2, Hollywood, Juju, Ayuk. Keep in mind, Diop is not playing, of course. Of the group of players, I would still play Juju and Ayuk over Hollywood Brown. I don't trust David Blau enough to where I can confidently tell you to play Hollywood Brown in this circumstance. So I'll play both these guys. Thank you. Bill says, don't be scared. I don't know what that's for. I'm assuming it was PrizePick related. Top 5 kickers to start. Thanks. At this point, I would say let's wait till tomorrow morning. Full PPR, Bam Knight or Swift. I'll take Bam Knight this week. Pacheco, McKinnon, Moss. Pick 1.5 PPR. I probably have McKinnon ranked the highest out of the group. Pacheco will be second and Moss will be third. Brian Robinson or Sanders? Brian Robinson, Kyle. Can only start 4. Kamara, Fournette, McKinnon, Akers, and Dillon. I think okay. I know I'm starting these guys. I'm gonna start all 4 of these. Fournette, McKinnon, Akers, and Dillon over Kamara. I just don't trust Kamara in this given week. Bill says standard league, Ayuk or Christian Kirk. In a standard format, I think there's a little bit of a higher likelihood of Ayuk scoring. No, the other way around. It's a higher likelihood of Christian Kirk down in the red zone being the touchdown guy. I'll take Christian Kirk there. Please get me. Okay, let me see here. Dyer Kev. Kevin is dire, huh? We're in dire straits here. Kevin says, hey, Andrew, thank you for all the help this year. In a full PPR scoring format, I need 2 wide receivers in a flex. We have DJ Moore. We have Jacoby Myers. We have Christian Watson, Zay Jones, Tyler Lockett, Romeo Dobbs, Richie James, thanks, and Zach Moss. Okay, cool. Thank you, no problem. All right, so here is the thing. 2 wide receivers in a singular flex. DJ Moore and Tyler Lockett are probably my first and foremost plays. Yeah, this is what I'm kind of thinking at the moment, okay? I got to look at the NFL schedule really quickly just so that we're all on the same page. Week 17 NFL. I want to know in regards to the when do the Giants play? Giants are in the morning, right? Yeah, they're at 10 a.m. Okay, so if that's the case, with the current construction of your roster, it's probably in your best interest because I want to play Christian Watson if he's active, right? But it's probably in a position where your best interest. No, I don't think you can risk it. I think I just play DJ Moore, Tyler Lockett, and Richie James. You can technically swap out Tyler Lockett for Christian Watson if he's active, but even at that point, I don't even know if I'm making that move. Scratch that. I probably would. So that's probably what you can do. You can play DJ Moore, Richie James in a full PPR standing, and then pivot Tyler Lockett to Christian Watson if Watson does play or doesn't. You know what I mean? That's your pivoting option there, Kev. Thank you. All right, let me go down to the bottom. Made the championship. Congratulations, Sam. If you have any questions, let's see here. Lost Hopkins. Start Pittman, Richie James, Sutton, Dortch, or Corey Davis. I'll go ahead and play Richie there. Thanks for 3 years, Andrew. PPR, need an RB wide receiver flex. We have Chubb, we have Algier, we have Dylan, Mike Williams, Zay, and Ayuk. Okay, RB is going to be Chubb. Wide receiver is going to be, you know what? I'm almost getting to a point where I don't even want to start Chubb this week, but I just have to because of who he is and his potential. At the moment, I'm leaning towards playing Chubb, Dylan, and probably Zay Jones out of this group. Thank you. Pick 2, Watson, Pittman, Dotson, or Richie James. Yeah, here's the issue again. I'd love to play Watson alongside of someone in a half PPR like any of these. I'll be fine. But the issue is I don't know if Watson's playing. So considering we don't know, and all 3 of these guys literally play in the morning slate, you're kind of in a position where you kind of have to play 2 of these 3. And if you have to play 2 of the 3, I'm probably in a half PPR playing Pittman and Dotson, in a full PPR playing Pittman alongside Richie James. You don't trust Alvin Kamara. Yeah, I don't trust the offense. I mean, look, Alvin Kamara is a how do I phrase this? Alvin Kamara is a what's the term I'm looking for? I got to think about this for a second because my brain is molded over and just completely rotten after 2 hours of streaming. He's a byproduct of the offense. Okay, that's the word I was looking for. The offense will take Alvin Kamara as long as they'll give him, a couple opportunities here and there, as far as he could possibly go. But until they decide to, just streamline, I would say 20 rushing attempts in his direction, along with 5 to 7 receptions per game, it's going to be tough to trust him, especially with the interior of that offensive line being completely torn out due to injuries, and how well the Philadelphia Eagles in specific have played in terms of stopping the run. So will Alvin Kamara probably get himself, 15 rushing attempts? Sure. But if he doesn't get that receiving upside that certainly has made the difference for Alvin Kamara's career over the course of his, since being a rookie in 2017, it just does not seem like I can play him over a lot of other options. He's still an RB2 in my mind. He's just not a guy that I can confidently say, yes, he's going to go ahead and roll through that defense and go for 18 fantasy points like I did last week. I don't think he'll be able to do so. The offense just isn't built for it anymore. I don't understand why they've stopped utilizing him as a third down back to the capacity which they have. And I don't understand why he doesn't get utilized more as a receiver, especially with all the receiver injuries that this offense has kind of dealt with. The fact that he doesn't line up out wide as much as he should is unfortunate. Andrew, I have Gardner and Deshaun Watson at my quarterback. This is not a super flex. Okay, got it. So yeah, you just play who I told you to play. You're fine there, Dorsey. Got to the championship. Full PPR, Walker, Algier, Akers. I'm probably playing these two. I'll probably play Walker and Algier there. Boom, boom. Thank you. Najee, Ayuk, Kamara, and Algier. Need one running back, one flex. I'll play Kamara and Algier there. I'll bench Najee and Ayuk. Choose one. Zay Jones, Michael Pittman Jr., Brian Robinson. I'll take Brian Robinson out of the group. DeAndre Swift or Deontay Johnson. In a full PPR, I'll take Deontay Johnson. Standard scoring format, Eckler, Kamara, Walker, Dobbs, and Akers. Standard start 2. Eckler and Walker are my suggestions there. Thank you. Okay, we took care of that. Algier or Jacobs. I'll take Algier this week. PPR, 40 yards. 40-yard play bonus plus 3. I mean, again, I can't even predict 40-yard plays, but continuing on. Pick 3, Miles Sanders, Jerick McKinnon, Algier, Gabe Davis, Mike Evans. Opponent has Josh Allen going. Okay, so at this point, it's not a full PPR. Oh, it is a full PPR. Okay, so it's a full PPR. I would play McKinnon, Algier, and probably Mike Evans there as the 3. Yeah, it's weird that they want to play David Johnson over him on third downs. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like it's almost to a point where they're just trying to not overwork him, and I understand why they would want to do that, but it's already at a point in the season where they got to use him way more. I just don't understand. Like, the offensive coordinator, Pete Carmichael, is still there. He's been there since like 2009 with, what's his name? Sean Payton. Like, he hasn't gone anywhere. He knows how to run the Sean Payton offense. He's just not calling it the same. I get it. I understand why they're not. When you have Andy Dalton as your starting quarterback, it really does limit your playbook. But come on, man. Dump it off to the running back. Let him start working fantasy. All right, let me catch up on some of these donation questions via Super Chat. We had a question from BC4. Says, how's my lineup? We have Josh Allen, Brian Robinson, Kenneth Walker, Jerry Jeudy, Drake London, DJ Moore, Evan Ingram, and Harrison Butker, along with the Jaguars defense. I mean, I have no complaints. 2 top 12 running backs. 2 top 15, maybe even higher wide receivers. Actually, maybe 3 top 15. Evan Ingram is my number 4 tight end going. Actually, he's my number 3 tight end going into the week. Josh Allen's my number 1. Jaguars top 5 defense. Butker, I could probably replace. I could live without Harrison Butker at kicker at this point. He just doesn't score enough. Thank you very much, BC. Code sends in a question. It says pick 1 wide receiver and a flex. We have Watson/Dobbs. DK, Hollywood, Akers, ETN, and K9. Also, Muth or Conklin. I'll take Muth over Conklin. I'll play ETN as your flex, and I will play ETN at your flex, and I'll take the Watson-Dobbs combo at wide receiver. Actually, no, that's not what I'll do. I would suggest, Code, to, in the afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, if in fact Christian Watson is not able to play, you would play DK Metcalf in his stead. But you're still playing ETN as your flex. Thank you. Sergio Romero says, full PPR, Start 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers in a flex. We have Swift, Harris, Sanders, Foreman, Johnson, Moore, Brown, Lockett. He might be limited. Wait, what does it say? He might be limited. Oh, as in Lockett. Okay. Kicker is Crosby, and defense is the Giants. Thank you. So 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers and a singular flex. Of the available options, we have Swift, Najee, Sanders, Foreman. Okay. So at running back, I will play Sanders and Foreman. Boom, boom, 1 and 2. Wide receiver, I'll take AJ Brown and DJ Moore. Flex, I'll take Lockett. Thank you. As for the follow-up question, we had Krackamack says, full PPR, RB2, Swift, Dobbins, Dillon. I will take Dillon out of the bunch. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, guys. So I'm going to be here for probably the next 12 more minutes answering questions until 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, like we typically do every Saturday. Again, if you guys haven't checked out the video that is right here in the bottom right corner, after today's live stream, I implore you to do so. There's a lot of vital information there in regards to injuries and potential upside of players going into the week. May give you an idea as to why I'm so bullish on the idea of playing guys like Drake London and Brian Robinson at such high capacities besides what I've mentioned today throughout the live stream. So if you're interested, be sure to check that out. It's live on the channel right now. Let's answer a couple more questions and then we'll be off. I'll be back tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. Again, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll have updated rankings on screen so that you can reference your rosters to the potential of what you can put together, figure it out, good to go. I'll be answering questions tomorrow for 2 hours straight. So hopefully by proxy of answering someone else's question or perhaps, answering your question with the rankings on screen, we'll be good to go there. All right, Johnny Moss says, Algier, Watson, Mike Williams, full PPR. Again, if Watson's active, I'd like to play him. But the issue is we don't know for sure, right? Here's my thing, Johnny. I am willing to, at this point, considering it's Algier and in these 2 options, I'm almost willing, Johnny, to take it to an extent to where you play Watson. If he doesn't end up suiting up in the afternoon, you play Mike Williams instead because you have the pivoting option there technically. Cody says, full PPR in the flex, Ayuk, Dotson, Mostert, or Rashad White. I'll take Dotson there in the flex. Thank you. Dre Play says 2 questions. In a half PPR, Goddard or Higbee? I'll take Higbee there. Any concerns with Higbee's elbow? Yeah, there are some concerns, but again, he did practice limited all week long. I think he'll be fine. Half PPR, choose 2 between McKinnon, Singletary, Pacheco. I'll take McKinnon and Pacheco. I'm starting both those backs. Yet to choose 2 correct over the last month. Yeah, that's tough. Arnold the Palmer says, pick 2 running backs and flex. By the way, the reason why, Dre, I'm saying let's go with McKinnon and Pacheco is because I truly do believe that the matchup is one-sided, that the Kansas City Chiefs should be able to win that game pretty easily. And if you're able to contain all of the fantasy points within that backfield and it doesn't seep out because you're missing one of them, you're going to get a lot of upside there. Mainly because you got to remember, the Chiefs have beaten the Denver Broncos in 14 straight games. So it's going to be a one-sided affair. If it's an even bigger blowout than the last time these 2 teams played, McKinnon and Pacheco will be running clock out in the second half and, of course, benefiting from that. Thank you. Arnold the Palmer was saying Fournette, Akers, Walker, McLaurin, or McKinnon. 2 running backs in this circumstance would be Fournette and Fournette and Walker. Your flex in this circumstance and a half PPR technically would probably just be McLaurin there. Full PPR probably, actually, in a half PPR, it's probably Akers and then McLaurin in a full PPR. Which RBs am I sitting? Need 2 running backs in one flex, full PPR. Obviously, starting Christian McCaffrey, but not sure between Walker, Stevenson, and Jones. I would probably play Walker and Jones. I'd bench Stevenson. Hey, Andrew, going for my 3rd straight championship. I have a lot of options. Full PPR, pick 2. DJ Moore. That's DJ Chark. Lazard, Juju, Brandon Cook, Sutton. It's Chark and Juju. I'd like to play Lazard, but again, it's highly determined on whether or not Watson's going to be active. So it's just Chark and Juju at that point. Jahan Dotson or Brandon Cooks. I'll take Jahan Dotson there. Yin. Asher says full PPR. Pittman, Marquise Brown. I'll take Michael Pittman there. Could also pick up Dortch, Isaiah Hodgins, or Richie James Jr. In a full PPR, I'd probably play Richie James over the bunch. Let's see here. Half PPR, Mike Evans, Fournette, Kamara. Yeah, I'll take Fournette out of the group. Half PPR, pick 2, Chubb, Dobbins, or Sanders. It'll be Chubb and Sanders there this week. Choose one full PPR. Everett, Akins, McBride, or Henry. I will play Jordan Akins out of that group, the Houston tight end, against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Thank you. Choose two running backs, a wide receiver. Okay, we have Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, Fournette, Robinson, Waddle, Evans. Okay. The wide receiver is Waddle. The running back that I'm going to suggest is going to be Fournette and Robinson, those two. And then if we're flexing one, it's going to be Dillon. So it'll be these four are the players. Thank you. Minshew or Lawrence. I have Lawrence one spot ahead of him. I have AJ Brown and Goddard. I guess you could just, at that point, sure. Let's go all in on the Eagles, my man. Sean. I don't think that's too many eggs in the basket. I'm okay with that. It's fine by me. Bridgewater or Minshew? I'll take Minshew. Who is RB1 and 2? Kamara, Stevenson, Akers, McKinnon, and Godwin in the flex. What's your scoring format? Again, tomorrow we'll have an answer for majority of that, but again, format matters. Kamara or Dotson half PPR? At this point, I'll just play Kamara. Scary Terry or Juju? I'll play Scary Terry. Confused, pick 2. Montgomery, Swift, McKinnon, AJ Dillon. If I'm picking 2 out of this group, it's these 2. AJ Dillon and McKinnon this week. Goff or Fields? Miles Sanders or Algier? Full PPR, Dotson or Pittman? It's probably going to be Pittman this week in a full PPR. In a half PPR, it'll probably be Dotson. Or Walker, Cooper, Garrett Wilson. Okay, yeah. Walker, Cooper, Garrett Wilson. Okay. Start 2, Amari Cooper, Devonta Smith, Tyler Lockett. Start 1, Darren Waller or Juwan Johnson. I'll probably play Juwan Johnson there. As for the wide receiver play, it's Devonta Smith. It might be just safer to play Amari Cooper over Tyler Lockett, but I prefer to play Tyler Lockett with Devonta there. DJ Moore or Ayuk? DJ Moore. Waller or Hurst? I'll play Hurst. Romeo Doubs or Richie James? Richie James. Evan Ingram, Ayuk, or Marquise Hollywood Brown? I'll take Evan Ingram out of the group. Lost Henry, PPR Edwards, or Carter? I'll probably play Gus Edwards there. I mean, I like Michael Carter a lot. I think Gus Edwards probably has a little bit of a safer floor of play. All right, guys. I do appreciate y'all coming out here, supporting the channel. There was a couple more questions that were sent in via Super Chat. KJ says, Robinson, Foreman, or Dotson if Watson isn't available. Brian Robinson Jr. would be the suggestion there. But you won't know again until the afternoon, which forces you to have to play probably Brian Robinson in the morning slate, which is unfortunate, but it is the reality of the situation. Unless you want to risk it for the biscuit. It's up to you. Juan was asking in the chat, Aaron Jones or Algier? I'll play Aaron Jones this week. Bodie Derby, what's up? Hope you're doing well. Says start 1 Algier, Waddle, McKinnon, full PPR. I'll play Waddle there in a full PPR. Apologies. Goff at home against the depleted Bears defense or banged up Fields for the chip. And though I really do like Fields, even if he's banged up. Listen, don't get me wrong. Goff at home, you guys have heard me say it. The 8 games that he has played at home this season, 20 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The 7 away games this season, 6 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions. There's a huge curve of potential that goes in the direction of upside in regards to Jared Goff at home. So it's certainly going to be a fantastic play. I just cannot play him in a 4-point per passing touchdown league over Fields. If it was 6-point, I could consider it. But at the moment, I can't play him over Fields. Appreciate it, guys. Okay, that's going to cover for me, guys. Again, a couple reminders. Tomorrow morning, I'll be back here from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also, like we did earlier on in the stream, we put together a couple entries via PrizePicks. Again, to give you guys some reminders as to what exactly we put forth. I'll go ahead and transition over to that screen right now. Again, if you travel over to their website, use promo code Andrew today to make a first-time deposit. Your first-time deposit is immediately doubled up to $100. Again, if you're trying to play daily fantasy, whether it's now during the fantasy season or during our regular season or when we get into the NFL playoffs, PrizePicks is the way to do it. Again, let me go ahead. Let me clear that really quickly. Let me refresh. And then also, if I pop open this display capture and then got to move it over. If I move this over a little bit here, boom. We can go over some of the entries that we made already earlier for those of you who are just stopping by. In terms of some of the entries that we're making today or for tomorrow's games, we started off the day by taking more on Teddy. Again, everything I'm picking is more, by the way. The rushing yards category. Teddy Bridgewater more than this. ETN, Isaiah Pacheco, boom, boom, boom. The receiving yard category, more on all these studs. They should be able to very easily surpass these smaller numbers. There isn't enough weather in the weekend for these numbers to be this low. I understand that they're playing with guys like Teddy Bridgewater, Desmond Ridder. I mean, Jared Goff. I mean, this is probably the most ridiculous. This is egregious, to be honest. Devonta Smith with Gardner Minshew. I mean, come on. Then we have a little bit of a mixed category of a little bit of receiving yards along with touchdowns galore for these studs. And then we finish it off with attempts and attempts. Those are the 4 entries that I'm putting forth. If you guys are interested, be sure to go ahead and check that out today. Link is in the description. Thank you very much. All right, y'all. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead, transition back. Be careful of the football. It's coming in your direction. Somebody catch it. And I'm going to go ahead and cue the music and send us off. I'll be back again tomorrow. And until then, thank you very much. I'll see you guys. Peace. All right. Did I miss anybody? Hold on, wait. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything that was sent in last second there. Boom, boom, boom. Somebody in the chat was just asking Mike Williams or Garrett Wilson. It is Garrett Wilson. Tyler Algier or Zonovan Knights. Shannon, I play at Tyler Algier there. Kamara, Dotson, Chark, half PPR flex. Probably Kamara is the safest of the bunch, but I could see a conversation as to why those wide receivers could technically outscore him. Yo, Andrew, play AJ Dillon or Aaron Jones. They're going to be back-to-back ranked tomorrow's video, tomorrow's live stream. I think Aaron Jones is going to be 1 spot ahead of AJ Dillon. They're going to be back-to-back in a half PPR either way. That should be it. Let me get back to the thumbnail and the music. See you guys. Peace.